have an official agenda, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Dina's gonna do our roll call for us.
All right, Terry Whitaker.
Here.
Debbie Yates.
Here.
Christina Costable.
Here.
Melinda Tan.
Here.
Daryl McCool.
Here.
Marcia Rain.
Here.
Claire Dixon.
Here. Okay, agenda approval. Does everyone have a chance to look at the
And
agenda?
I did add the two things I was missing at the very bottom,
Great, thank
60
you.
and E.
Perfect.
I
Oh,
meant
Chili
to have
Fest
those
main
on.
event.
Yeah, I meant to have those on originally.
Yeah.
I-
It's okay. A lot going on. So does everyone, do we all approve? Everyone?
Yeah.
So moved, yes.
Okay. Public comments, number 4. Public, do we have a comment?
We have a
I
public.
know, we have.
Yeah.
Hi,
You're the only public at the meeting though, so.
No
We
pressure.
can make it a small p instead of a capital P.
Oh,
okay. Well, no, I just thought that I would come. I had gone to that meeting up at,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind, me.
up in Alfalfa that one time and asked about the Veterans, Memorial. And so now that she was over with your other event, why I just wanted to get back and touch base about that and see if he was definitely interested in proceeding with it and,
Well, we suggested that you bring it up as in the master planning process. It's not something that we,
and so I didn't know when that was.
Okay.
I know it's getting to be budget time, but I didn't know when that was, so.
well, all of the master planning stuff is going on, and you attended the dialogue with Mitchell. So there's going to be, and that's what we're talking about tonight, a questionnaire to the town, and that could be something you could answer the questionnaire and then add your suggestion of an event. That's what we're looking for at that time.
Okay, because something that was listed on the board up there the night when you had your open house thing, was that someone was interested in, doing food. And so I thought, cookies with veterans, that might be something that might be able to be incorporated in, have a cookie contest, whoever bakes the best chocolate chip cookies, peanut butter cookies, or whatever. So that was something else, so.
Okay, so adding that to the event, that
Yeah,
the cookies.
yeah.
Then tell me the
To
date.
what event?
She does cookies with veterans. Tell me, is it on
Veterans
Veterans
Day.
Day?
November 11th.
Okay, hold on. Thank you. I knew it was in November, but I couldn't
Cookies with
remember the day.
veterans,
Okay.
Yeah. And so, it was just, once again, it's just inquiring and if you're interested in, you know, your time frame, whatever, I'm just asking.
I would also encourage you to write it up, what you're really thinking about, and that way then we have it in a written form,
Okay,
and,
get it to you?
yeah,
All right, I'll email it to you.
okay,
Okay, I can do that.
thank you.
That
Thank
we
you.
won't forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We tend to do that.
we
And-
do
and-
not.
That's because you're so much younger.
Well, it'll be September, I start, getting my, decals ready and, my letters out to people, to the businesses that donate and, you know, that, so, it was just part of that starting process.
Do you do this someplace? Where do you do it? Remind me
Over
again.
at,
At the
over
Veterans
by the,
Memorial.
Oh, the Veterans in Asti.
yeah,
Okay.
where the flagpole is.
Right, got it.
Thank you, Gladys.
Is there a area on here when we talk about the questionnaires that we could?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of locations where people can write in their own answers.
Right, when we do the questionnaire.
Yeah, and keep that in mind as we're going through it tonight.
I just wanna put
So-
a note on here, so.
Okay, so then we're on to new business and updates, but there's nothing under that, so.
New business. Just throwing this out there for later this year, maybe even the beginning of next year. But I'm remembering how Kevin Ryan was so very interested in representing that painting of intersections or public murals was an important thing that they were kind of hoping for. Am I wrong? Does anybody remember that meeting? So I was just thinking, in the past, we've been scraping along, not having enough money to do things, but this year we've had enough money to do things. And who says that the very first, intersection mural that we have done has to be organized with a bunch of teachers and kids and stuff? It's cheap, we could, have a design and hire a company and have it painted, relatively cheaply, so
Or
just
hire an
some.
artist, would be great.
Yeah, or, just something to think about to squeeze in as a last minute thing for budgetary purposes.
So you
A
think
little,
doing it this year?
a little money goes a long way when you're just painting the streets, so I don't know.
Well, I do know
A ni-
that,
a
that it's
nice
on our
day.
work plan, so we could certainly, I mean, I love the idea, I love that we could do it, I also like the idea of involving the community. So,
There's more than one intersection though, it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
then not all of them have to be a community public effort.
no, but we could hire a muralist to design it and then the community paints it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So we've budgeted for that?
We have funding if you wanted to do that kind of project.
And it is in our work plan to continue with the crosswalks.
I guess the next thing that maybe we could do is to ask, Public Works if, is it too late? It's the end of, getting to the end of summer, is there a better time?
Well, we
to
did
do
it late August last
We
year.
did it in late August?
Yeah.
It really only will last a few months, then the snow comes, right?
Yeah.
And then you would have to refresh it, like you have been suggesting for this year to refresh, so then you'd wanna refresh it in the spring.
How do you
well,
do that?
maybe, but there's a lot of those looks that look just fine,
But some of
that
them
we
will look-
painted. Yeah,
Some of them don't.
Right, the one by us
Yeah.
needs a refresh desperately.
Okay, well, we have a lot to cover tonight, so
Yeah, for the winter.
love that, idea, and we can keep it in the conversation for sure. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, it's okay, we'll talk about it. I do have one other, update, is that I heard from Rachel, and she's moving now.
Oh, okay.
And so she couldn't make it tonight, but she's gonna make it for the next meeting, so hopefully she'll get in contact with Karen and
Oh, good.
Okay, cause she has to apply
she has to
officially.
apply.
Yeah.
You talked to her?
I emailed her, yeah.
Good.
So she's still interested.
Okay.
So
Great.
we did get one new application.
Oh, good.
Just-
And it's not Rachel's?
It's not Rachel.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
good, so
Yes.
that could be.
And that person's gonna come, I think, to the next meeting.
Great.
Do you remember who it is?
It's Howard Trapito, is his name.
Well,
Oh,
I
man.
Doesn't ring a
I was
bell.
gonna say, a
Howard,
guy
what's the
is
last name?
actually interested.
Trapita, and I
Yeah,
think it's
that would be nice.
TRP,
That would be different.
PEDA. It's
Oh,
Italian.
Lord.
Trapita.
My typing was terrible.
All right, okay.
Okay,
That's
great,
good.
thank
Awesome.
you
It's
for
good
following
news.
up with her.
Yeah.
Do we need to advertise it anymore, like send emails
Not if
out?
there's two people that
Okay.
he's interested and she's
Okay.
interested,
I'm
and if
sorry,
they are
that's Rachel's
qualified,
name. Okay,
then I would say,
TTTL.
we're good? 'Cause
The
we could
Arvada
use it.
Center director is considering,
Clark?
yeah.
What?
How cool would that
Yeah.
be?
I don't know how likely it is, but he's a client, old client of mine, and
Oh,
so
how
I
cool,
talked to
and he
him
lives in
after he
Superior, I
sent
saw
us
that,
all
yeah, that
email.
email.
He's
And
a
I said,
friend of
"Would you
mine."
He's a
wanna
friend of
join?"
Melinda's.
I said, would you wanna
Yeah.
join the
Did he
committee?
tell you that we contacted him at the beginning of the process for the?
No, but I think Daryl told me,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we got his input.
Yeah.
Oh.
so he's thinking about it.
That would make
Clark,
it
for
great.
those that, Clark is the one that wrote the letter, about the sculpture, yeah.
And he lives in Superior?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kinda cool.
All
Yeah,
right.
that would be
Okay,
great.
so-
What's his last name?
Kent, just kidding.
Oh.
Johnson.
Don't tell me that, I'll
Johnson.
write it.
Johnson.
We'll be going through Terry's notes going, who? Kent.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now on, anyone else with new business or updates? Okay, on to creative placemaking master plan. Y'all received the draft of the questionnaires,
Did.
questionnaire.
I have a question.
No, I didn't bring copies.
Ah, okay.
Initial start discussion. And I have gone through, I went through it all. Is there a word, and everybody I have asked, if I said, and I read in this intro, when they talk about placemaking, they go, is there any word, or can we do a what is placemaking with kind of a definition? You know, the, whatever, the
Well,
American Association, cause people are
yeah.
just like, I don't get this, I don't care about sculpture really, I wanna see stuff, I wanna have things happening.
Well, so.
That's my biggest concern
One
with
of
all
the
this stuff.
things that you do in a questionnaire is you ask if people understand what you're talking about.
I did see
So that's why
that.
we have the question asking them. So I don't wanna lead them with
Okay.
any answers in our introduction.
Well, where's the one that says, do you know what we're talking about? Is that at the end?
It is
Oh, I
towards the
have mine
end,
backwards.
and I.
No, this isn't like in order, this is just ordered by subject. So maybe we should, let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
And do an
I
introduction.
Kind of
just-
give an intro and talk about it because
Yeah.
you want us to
Oh, here.
distill it down to 5 to 8 questions, including the demographic questions at the back.
So let me start from
How
the
many?
beginning.
8?
Let me start
Okay.
from the beginning.
Okay.
So I prepared this for your review. It's not a Happy City questionnaire, it's a town questionnaire. So, Happy City provided some of the questions in this, questionnaire. So the thought was, there's two things. I could either bring you guys a questionnaire with 15 questions, and then we would have to hash it out and strike it and add and subtract and add and subtract. So rather than doing that, I decided just to bring you all the possible questions that I could think of that would be important. And from there, then we can hash it out, because at least then we have a bunch of choices. And it will help us identify what our goals are. And so this is a complete draft, from the beginning to the end, from the first word to the last word. So the thought here is, the very first section and each section thereafter, I'm just telling you what the subject is for that section, and then we all need to decide together, assuming that you want to be this hands-on, we need to assume to write together what this questionnaire is gonna exactly look like. So, the first section is just about the creative placemaking master plan. It's gonna be partly the intro to the survey. So imagine opening a survey, and there's the first page, and it always tells you what the topic is and what you're about to answer questions for. So that's what this first section is. So this promo part would be just this is a quick blurb of what you're about to do. Okay, and this might be the couple sentences we use on Facebook, or it might be a couple sentences we use in an e-blast, or just something really fast. So that's what I put in as promo.
Would it be possible to, so just to not define placemaking, but can we have a photo associated with it, so there's a visual,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
hey, this, you know,
Couple
not just the
examples,
copy,
yeah.
but something
Yeah.
that
Oh, that's a great
draws
idea.
people in
Yeah.
and makes
So we
them
wanna
say,
make it
oh,
look pretty, for
oh,
sure.
okay, maybe I
Yeah.
do wanna fill out this survey. I might not know what
Yeah.
they're talking about at this point, but I'm interested enough to click the button.
I
Yeah.
love that idea,
Yeah.
because when I highlighted this and sent it to people that I know, they're like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we want them to answer it and give them input. I love the idea of the pictures, cause you could do like 4th of July or Chili Fest or
Just give
whatever,
them
yeah.
some visual stimuli to whet
Get
their
'em
appetite
grabbed.
and get them grabbed and go in.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So then the intro to the questionnaire would be something like this, that just gives you like the meat. This is who, the what, the where, really fast. And then from there, then they click next, and that's when they start the questions.
So this about the master plan, is that
Yeah.
also part of it?
This might be towards the end, like, if you want more info, click here, or something
Okay,
like
okay,
that. It's
okay.
just, a lot of, some of that too is just for all of us to be on the same page, and whoever's reviewing this by video or looking at our website, you know, the board is watching potentially, so it's really just another backup of what we are doing with our master plan.
Okay, cause
Okay.
it just felt like too
Yeah.
much at the beginning, so
Yeah.
that's good to know. Okay.
So
And
yeah,
actually,
it's,
and I really like how you wrote this up, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you.
That follow-up part would be awesome.
yeah.
So then the next section is about goals, and I thought we need to hash this out and figure out really what the goals are of this questionnaire. I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of each section real fast. Then the methodology, so that we're all on the same page about what we're
She
doing.
has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. So we're writing this questionnaire, is it something that is that like one of our money saving, techniques? I I know, cause I know Happy City was doing digital engagement, but is that something that we decided we were gonna do instead to cut costs?
So, yes, and in addition to that, it was planned to be a staff task. But you guys have determined you wanna be more hands-on, so now it's your task.
Oh,
Okay, so-
if it's our
so,
task,
um,
then I think we need to, make links perhaps for all this information, but like, Mitchell said, is you want like an introduction that's like, we would like your opinion about, upcoming events in Superior, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no more than like 5 to 8 questions, and be done.
Yeah, I think that's.
That's what the
we're
point
working
is.
on.
We're
That's
hashing
what
this
we're
out
doing.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So anyway,
But
that's.
all this
that-
also,
Happy
but
City
it's not gonna get read.
proposal,
That's what she's
They
saying.
would have or could have done
Yes.
digital surveys, but we said, no, we'll
We were
do this
trying to
part
stay
ourselves.
within the $50,000 budget.
Okay, so that's what
Right,
that was my question.
yeah. And then, like I said, it was, when we removed it from the scope of work to
Mhm.
reduce the budget, we had planned that I would do the survey, and, with the steering committee, contribution, but at this point, I feel like you guys wanna be more involved, so now it's, you need to make these
Absolutely.
decisions,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then the methodology is just always what you describe, what's happening and how you do it, and again, we'll get into these details, but I just wanted to give you an overview of the sections. Then, this is how we're gonna distribute it, the questionnaire distribution, and again, all of this is open for revision. I don't want you to think that I'm handing you a plan and this is what we're doing. This is a starting point for you to make comments and, give your input. So then I made a draft of what do we wanna know, cause that's how you determine what your questions are. So we really need to decide what we wanna know. And then, these are all the, suggested questions. So we wanna talk about the perceptions that people have about Superior, the perceptions and attitudes they have about creative placemaking, and then here's where it comes in, do you even know what we're talking about? So that
Yeah,
gives us
first
an
question.
idea of how much education we have to give our constituents.
And this is round 1 of questions.
This is all round one.
So then phase 2 is a different set of questions?
Phase 2 could incorporate some of these.
Okay.
And then, as a detail, so let's say we ask, what is your, favorite type of art that you'd like to see in Superior? And we get a huge amount of people saying that they wanna see street murals. Then in phase 2, we're gonna say, okay, what kind of street murals? Do you want it to be, crazy graffiti art? Do you want it to be just, geometric shapes? What aesthetic do you like? So we start to dig deeper in phase 2.
Okay.
Where would you like to see the street murals? So that's what the phase 2 or round 2 will get into.
Okay.
It digs deeper from phase 1. And again, we could put some of these questions in phase 2.
I was gonna say, is there,
Yeah.
cause there's a lot of really super questions in here.
Yeah.
So we can
It's
kinda
gonna
do.
be hard to narrow down.
It's gonna be hard,
for
to-
sure.
well, but
Yeah.
at least you have phase 1 and then you
Yeah.
have phase 2.
Yeah.
And then my question was, so the same people could answer 1 and 2, but we
Yes.
could have people only answer 1 or only answer 2.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
alright.
So then the next set of questions are leisure, arts, and culture participation. So we wanna know, what do people do for fun, so that we can help figure out how to serve them. Then we want to ask, what are their perceptions and attitudes towards public art? And that's because we are gonna specifically have public art strategies
Where
in
Page 6.
the master plan.
And were you able to consult with Happy City in, creating these sections? Is this what they wanted to know, or?
No.
Yeah, I wanna know
They're
exactly
not,
which
they're not
of these.
involved in
I'm
that.
just
Questions
wondering,
is
It's not in their
Oh.
scope.
I'm just wondering if there are specific things that they would like to know.
Yeah, which
They
questions
gave
are
me,
theirs?
they gave me
Yeah.
questions, and,
Which are
I
theirs?
integrated them in. I'd have to go and look, but I
Okay.
integrated them in.
I think we really need to know exactly what Happy City wants.
Yeah, since they're gonna be consolidating it and,
Yeah.
putting it into the plan, so.
This is very thorough, I appreciate it, it's great. talking points for all of us about what's going on. But I don't think it can all appear, you know, on a questionnaire, and I really wanna see
It's-
exactly what Happy City
Yeah, that's the
It's
point.
not gonna all appear on a questionnaire.
Well,
if
just
you
know
read the
that
email.
what Happy City provided is in here, and we can together, it's up to you guys to decide where you go from here.
Yeah, I think it would be useful to know what are the things that they specifically wanted to get out of this survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give us that?
Well, I'd have to find it, so you have to give me a few minutes.
Oh, you don't,
Or a
not,
few
you don't have to
days.
write now.
Do you want it now? or
No.
What are your thoughts? Who wants to have it? Maybe let's raise your hands if you want to see it,
I
and then
think
I can.
eventually, at some point, it would be useful, but I'm not saying pull it up at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next section is about public art specifically,
Wait,
then.
Page 8? Okay.
Page 8, creative community questions, so these are just two that I came up with, but you may think of more about what you wanna ask artists and creatives in the community. And then the demographics at the end, so those are kinda standard, the demographics we can chat about in detail if you want. But, so the idea is, to figure out what we wanna know and what we wanna ask. And then, when the, results come in, I will give a report to Happy City, you know, like nice pretty graph charts and pie charts and things like that, so that they can, do an analysis. So, where do you wanna start? Do you wanna start with questions, going through all the questions? What are your thoughts?
I think we need to start with the intro.
Okay.
I wanna grab them.
Mm-hmm.
People are really busy.
I would say we need to whittle this down short and concise as
Mhm.
possible,
Mhm.
because people don't wanna read a lot of text on a screen. and they're
Right.
used to it.
Well, and that's why I was suggesting the photo, you know, you
Right.
do
Images.
the intro piece with some interesting photos. We put the placemaking master plan section toward the back, you know, after they've completed. And then sort of divide up into round 1 questions, round 2 questions.
Okay.
Would be how I would personally attack it.
Is this going out hard copy mail or is it going out email?
It's all digital.
It's digital, but if you do want, if you did want a copy of it, that was
There's some
part
cool
of, so you could be,
Yeah.
you would be able to fill it out, as a
Gina
hard
put some
copy.
cool ideas in here.
You could just call or email and ask us for hard copy.
Right.
It might be useful just to start, like you said, with what are the objectives of the survey.
And I think up here, if you even put like the join the conversation is good, and then responses to this questionnaire help us, you know what I mean, if you wanted it really short, because that's pretty straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the promo.
And then also this last sentence is if you wanted another one, aggregated and analyzed, like, I don't know if that's needed, but.
It
if you wanna
is,
re-
like, a lot of this is just kind of standard, like you always tell them up front why
What's
you're, what
happening.
you're
Mhm.
doing, why you're
Mhm.
asking it, and what you're gonna do with the information.
Oh, so they need more.
And actually, I may even add where it says, as you pointed out, the second paragraph, the last sentence says, here's my thing.
Yep.
The information you
will
provide will be
provide-
aggregated, I should also put and anonymous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So like that
that's-
kind of
mhm.
stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So Gina, if you can grab them with the pictures,
Mm-hmm.
find some way that if you're a 35-year-old or whatever, and your life is super busy, you're gonna grab them so they answer it. However that looks.
I mean, can we describe this questionnaire in one sentence?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Join the conversation, we're here.
I was just gonna say, people wanna be a part of what's happening in the
Mhm.
city, right? So maybe just, if you grabbing them wise, like, I don't know how to phrase that,
Share
but
your opinion.
yeah, what do you,
Here's your opportunity
Here's
to
your
share
opportunity.
your opportunity, or your opinion about Art
or
and Superior.
We're listening.
Or-
Cause you know there's this subcurrent of everybody in Superior, or a lot of people in Superior, saying, what's happening with the town center? Where are our restaurants? Where are the things that we thought were gonna happen? And they're starting to get antsy. And so if there's a way that they know that we're really reaching out to them and wanna grab them for their thoughts, again, so they don't, if you're 35 and, you know, you're working, your kids or whatever, you don't just go, you want them to say, give us your opinion, tell us what.
Right, I mean, the first sentence could be, you know, Superior is committed to furthering the arts and culture in the town. And then the next sentence would be, we wanna know what you want, what do you want, period, right? Let us know,
Tell us
and
what you
then,
want.
right,
And then you
that
can
would
bring
be
in the
the
word
one
creative
sentence.
placemaking.
Yes.
I think if you introduce it right away,
I agree.
then
Yes.
I think we do
that
have to.
is a stumbling block
And
for
then
people.
people might also wanna know, how is this different from every other survey I've filled out
Mhm.
before, cause we've done surveys.
Because we're
for the
giving
town,
you
we've done
pictures.
Well, we are
Because
telling them that it's, I mean, you are
Yeah.
saying in here that this information is being used for a master plan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Yes, and then
I
follow
I think
with
to
that.
emphasize, this is specifically a creative placemaking master plan, it's not just a town plan, you know, for
Yeah.
everything in the town.
Yeah, what do you wanna see, all of this information is
you
gonna
wanna
be
see? What do you wanna
for
do?
the creative master plan.
What do you wanna look at every day?
well, it's not just about an art piece,
Right.
it's about art everywhere, music, literature, all of that, that's,
Cooking, culinary arts.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that, so
Cookies for
it's,
veterans.
it's a little bit
The
more
cookies for veterans, I mean,
complicated.
it's.
That's all part of it.
Yeah, it's not
That's
just,
cultural.
it's not just, here's a piece of sculpture to look at, it really is
Everything
literature, culinary, all of it.
But
So, another question I have is when do we need to, so obviously we're seeing it for the first time, you know, we saw it yesterday for the first time, and started thinking about it, and now we're discussing it, when do we have to have our thoughts to you?
Well, I was hoping we could decide a lot of it tonight, because I need at least a week to prepare it and put it online and
At this
launch
bang the
it.
table thing.
Yeah, and we had talked about launching it August 20th, and that, it doesn't have to launch that day, but, that was just what we talked about at our last meeting.
I would like to see it before the board of trustees meeting,
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
That's very
Before the
good
26th.
thinking.
before the 26th.
Oh, launched?
I would like to see it launched before
Or
the
what
board
do
of
we-
trustees, so we
what
can say to
about-
them,
What about having some review?
Yeah, we have to, we
Yeah,
need
as
this,
well.
we really have to review this.
Yeah.
she's saying you don't have time, so I would really caution you guys against overanalyzing this and taking all of our time to actually write it. That's what Dean is
Mhm.
for, and I'm sure most of this is great, and it has been, and it has the Happy City recommendations in it. So let's not make this more difficult than it has to be, let's go through the questions, and let's just like we did with the RFP for the artist, just if the question feels right, let's just go with it, so, and then we can tweak it, but I don't think we should spend 4 hours and rewrite everything, so I think we should just go. We don't have 4 hours, I'm sure,
Dina
So-
can do it, and the town has a PR person too,
Exactly,
that you
so
can
this
fly
is-
by, right?
Dina
Oh,
has
he's already
done
looked
these
at it.
before.
Has he? Okay,
And so is
So-
Patrick, so.
okay.
Okay, well, in that case, if we're gonna try to hammer this all out quickly and tonight, then maybe it would be useful to bring up, if you have
Yeah,
that available.
why don't you bring that up since we're gonna hammer it out now?
What are the specific things that they wanted to get out of this survey, so we make sure we include all of
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
Do we have does the town have a copywriter?
It's okay.
No, no copywriter.
No, we just hired a communications manager for the first time ever.
How cool is that? So that person would be able to do copywriting.
Well, I don't know if that's what Kevin's specialty is, but he sure is a good communicator.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Because they can
Belinda,
look
but
at that.
I think this won't be successful unless we make it brief, like Mitchell recommended, and it's
No, that's
great.
the point
That's
of
the
tonight,
point.
that's the whole
That's
point
what
of
we're
tonight,
getting
is
this
to
down to.
eliminate the fluff and to
The-
get down to
But
the meat.
that takes time.
All right, Marcia, yeah, so let's get going.
That's what we're-
Instead-
that's
what
right,
we're
instead
here
of
to
trying to rewrite
do.
everything, let's just, yeah, I think we'll be able to whip through this.
So we've done it. Grab them, put
Yeah.
placemaking a little bit farther down, include a picture,
Yeah,
have the communication pair look at it, we're done.
yeah.
Okay.
Did we
But
get
we
that,
did wanna edit.
did we get that first paragraph?
Well, there are, so, and to go back to, yes, I believe that there's a lot, but there's repetitive words in here, there's
Mhm.
things like
Yes.
that,
There
that
are
I do
things to-
think we
Go
want to, and maybe not, that's why I was asking when we need to have it back, because the first the promo, we are interested in learning about your perspective about Superior. There's two abouts in the first sentence, and remove, you know, just simple things like that, and no, you
Well,
know.
those things we can,
That's-
we don't have to do that
No,
tonight.
That, but I,
Yeah.
but
I think we do.
No,
It's supposed to be short and sweet.
no, but let the
I
experts do it.
understand that, I'm just saying, there are some things that will not get done tonight, because I think
Mhm.
Right.
that careful editing needs to have,
Yeah.
be done, you know, some wordsmithing on some of these things, but we can sit here tonight and choose the questions that we think are most important for round one and round two. And then look at the words that are in that and edit that if we need to.
Right.
And that might be like on another night, or you wanna do all that for tonight?
Well, I think the most important thing is picking the
Picking questions
questions
is the
tonight.
top.
Right,
Yeah.
and then, so let me, explain the rest of the strategy too. So, we do the questions, I will, you guys will take the survey, you'll be the testers. And then we can revise as we go as well.
Okay,
Cause
so we'll have more time.
we wanna
to-
make sure that it's not more than 5 minutes, and so we need to test that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why you pick between 12 and 15 questions, cause I know, you know, usually that's about 5 minutes.
Now, why are we doing between 12 and 15?
Cause it's
when
about
Mitchell-
5 minutes or
When
less.
Mitchell said 5 to 8 was like the max.
That's what he was going to provide us.
That's what
He
he was
agreed
reading
to
as.
provide us 5 to 8 questions.
And there's also some basic demographic
And then that
questions
was
that
it.
we wanna ask
Yeah.
that push the number up, so.
Okay.
But they're not, you know, like, are you a Superior resident, yes or no, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, do you own a business or work in Superior, yes or
2
no,
seconds.
2
How to get
seconds.
that email.
You know, I noticed
Is it
one
under
important
Outlook
thing
or
that I would
something?
think for demographics
I'm
is,
bad with PCs.
are you a renter
See,
or
it's
do you
not my
own your home?
computer,
That's
so
not in
I
here.
don't know.
I don't think that makes a
It's
difference.
I don't think that matters.
No, I don't think it matters.
You don't think
And
so?
I,
Um,
no.
No, you live here, doesn't matter if you
Which,
rent or.
which platform?
Well, it's a town.
Yeah, 'cause I see a lot of
Oh, okay.
turnover.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not.
But that doesn't mean they're not
It's never
interested in
fun.
Right.
our,
If they're not.
Yeah, sometimes I have a link,
And the last
special
time I
links.
tried to
It-
open
yeah,
a Gmail
yeah, we can
on
look at
the
it.
Survey will be
computer,
to
it
keep
wouldn't
them
open,
yours.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Could email
I don't
it
know
to
what you do with
myself.
that,
Yeah.
but, you know,
I'm
if
just
you get
gonna
that
try it, see if I
information, what
can
is it?
get
I hate to
Um,
discriminate against people that are renters.
Me too.
I think that, you know, they're residents of Superior too.
So are we done with page 1?
We're just
Well,
focusing on the
okay, so
questions
the
tonight.
goals, so I did have one question about the goals, cause I read, so goal number 3, and this was,
Oh.
and maybe I missed it, but the goal was position the town to publish a questionnaire biannually, to track changes over time, so that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that was kinda new to
Oh,
me,
my-
and
my
I mean, I
notes.
think it's a fine
There, I
goal,
got it. Nice.
just to keep abreast of things, I
Okay,
just didn't wanna
here
be
we go.
beholden to.
Yeah, I like those.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we do
I
like
like
those.
That's pretty ambitious considering the other things we
Read
can
the
do.
options
really
below.
Yeah, I think it's an A, annually,
How
when you
does
do every 2
Superior
years, it's
make it?
biannual,
But,
that,
It's to be
it's
A,
every
not
2
E.
years. It's an E.
Instead of.
It is bi- it is
Every 2 years.
biannually?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'll be darned, okay.
it looks very.
Okay, here's his
I don't know that
questions.
word. Okay,
Okay, I can't
What does
read
it say
that.
here?
Oh.
It's reload. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these, Dean, are in there.
Yeah,
well,
I think she's.
they're
no,
all
all
there.
right,
Yeah,
they were just asking for the distinction between what Happy City wanted specifically to be in there.
And then some of these I revised, cause I don't think they were very well thought out the way they were written.
Well,
And-
and some of their language is different, like,
Yeah.
there was one where it was like.
He just did it really, it's like, he was like, you know, brainstorming almost.
Well, and it has
Hi there.
another,
Art looks awesome, nice work.
another difference is that he has, you know, quick answers and answer for each one. Instead of like long lists of, you know, activities all the way down to Q, from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, you know.
Well, that's where you need to put your pen out, and so we can
And edit.
edit this.
Oh, it's not blinking.
Yeah, I just noticed.
What?
He just popped his head in, it's not blinking.
I love that you gave all these ideas, by the way.
Yes.
It's just, there's lots of details we wanna know, and
Mhm.
it's really hard to figure it all out.
Well, and I think ranking your options is perfect.
Me too.
Is the
So,
question-
Page 2?
Is it like
We're done with that?
aggregated or whatever by like A, B, C, D, or can they fill in the blank, or would that make things more difficult?
Yeah, when they fill in the blank,
Then
we
you
have
have to
to
go over
analyze that
everyone.
manually,
Right,
yeah,
as
and there
opposed
could be
to-
100
I see, yeah.
different
Okay,
answers,
sorry.
and you put
Okay.
it in a
Yeah, so
spreadsheet, and
you
you
really
read it,
have-
yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Real quick, since I know we're just going to actual questions, I love all these, options that you put in here, by the way. You know, like if Gladys wants to pick up a paper copy,
Yeah.
you know, you can do it, you know, we don't have really local publication, but you get a lot of things that people, a postcard mailer to secure addresses, for instance. I think you target a lot of things rather than just saying, do it as a digital survey. And as you know,
Sorry.
Kevin from the meeting felt very strongly about not doing digital engagement. So, I like those ideas.
well, and are we gonna have this available at, Chili Fest?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll
Can we
have
go
hard
back to that
copies
real
there.
quick?
Which one?
The email,
Oh, the email, okay.
almost.
Oops, did I leave it? Oh, no, there it is.
So, from their perspective, what would you say what are the main things that they wanna learn from this digital survey?
Places that people like, what makes people happy, or does Superior make people happy? And,
What the weaknesses are, maybe?
yeah, I mean,
And specifically
I don't
asking about
usually like to
downtown.
ask what people think weaknesses are.
Depends on the formula.
I think
I
they'll
don't
give
think
it
that's
to you
helpful.
anyway.
Yeah.
And then the only other one that really, I don't agree with at all is the downtown Superior. We don't introduce any other location around town. I think it's confusing.
I wonder why they added that question, like.
Well, it is a separate entity.
I mean, I wonder why Happy City specifically mentions downtown Superior right there, like maybe that's something that they picked up on while they were here, that it was like a
That they
an
wanna,
issue.
Slate or something?
and they
Well,
mention that it's a
I think he thinks it's a
private
big issue,
firm.
for sure.
Mitchell does,
Yeah.
based on the feedback he's got through interviews and things
I
like that.
don't know, he didn't mention it, but I know he's pretty,
Oh,
big
so you
on
can-
talking to Bill as one of the tech two
Mhm.
interviews.
It's a big area of opportunity.
But I would
Yeah.
rather know what the
Yeah.
what the conversation is with he and Bill than asking the residents to weigh in on
Yeah.
something
Whether or
that.
not we should do that.
Yeah, I think that one's a little, I mean, then we should be asking about every place in town,
Right.
really, in my opinion. That would be the first one I would tax off.
Because we don't think that they should be making, place-making plans in downtown because we kind of already have plans for that. Is that
No,
what-
or not, or more just
It's
don't
not
focus
really-
on it. It's not our job to tell residents where they wanna see it. I mean, I think he's,
I think we're not, I don't feel like, I think we want more generalized information, not specific, that feels a little too specific. And without educating people about, a lot of people don't understand the
Know what the
distinction
plans are.
between downtown Superior and Superior.
and Superior
I
Marketplace.
mean, people for crying out loud think that Rock Creek is not Superior, you know? I mean,
Well,
that's.
the other thing we need to think about is, what happens when we get the answers we don't wanna hear? So what
Well,
if people
that's really
said,
important.
we don't think the
Things that
town should be involved in placemaking in downtown Superior? What are we
need to
gonna
know
do
that.
then?
Yeah,
We
then
need
what
to
do
know
we
that.
do?
To know that. I
So,
mean, cause you don't
if
wanna
they
move
don't-
forward with something that people don't want.
Right.
But we aren't
Or
asking
do,
that
I
question
mean,
about the
that's up
marketplace.
to you guys to
True.
decide.
We aren't asking that question about
Oh, Safeway.
any of our other locations around town, so that's why I feel like, I mean, it's, maybe it goes into round two, after we see what happens in round one, if you guys feel it's important. I think it's a can of worms, you know, that we
We're just gonna get the same
may or may
responses.
not like the answers to.
Well, because it's not
town property, really.
That we don't
Isn't
really have
it-
control
But
over it
we
anymore.
will be programming in downtown somehow, so we just don't know what that looks like yet.
Would it be helpful for them to know what people want, and then that would help to know what they would come to, you
But
know,
then do
for
we expand to
argument?
add every other area in town?
Right,
I
yeah.
think, I
Maybe,
think
I mean,
having.
they might have just singled that out since it's, you know, as yet undeveloped, and so maybe they're seeing that as the greatest area of opportunity.
It
You
just
know,
jumps
whereas-
out to me as a weird question in the middle of all these other questions, but that's just my opinion, so we can keep it in if people want to.
So there is a question somewhere about locations.
I know, I saw that one.
So that could maybe suffice enough to get to what she's talking about by adding all the commercial
Yeah.
locations and parks and everywhere, as well as answering Happy City's question.
Here it is, page
What
7.
does it say?
What types of arts and creative activities would you be interested in experiencing in Superior? That's what?
Here
Where's
it
the where
is.
part?
Where on the creative
Oh, wait.
locations, okay. And
So
that
that's
would
just for
cover-
public art, but we could
Oh.
revise this
You could
question,
Yeah.
set
Public art
this
or
one.
placemaking.
And events.
Parks,
And events, let's put events.
Yeah, I
Public
think that
art,
would totally
installations
cover
and events.
the downtown thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely want that information, I just feel it doesn't fit in this survey, the way that it's been
Right,
written.
like, let's
It
say, you
feels
know,
like such an
90%
outlier.
of people choose downtown, then we can go
Then we
there.
really know,
Right,
this
then,
is where they
then for
like it.
round 2,
Yeah.
we can bring in a different question.
Okay.
Right,
Or
so for
bring
in
in
round
that
2, I say,
question.
oh, everybody wants, or 50% of the people wanna see, something at Trailheads. Well, let's ask them, what do
Mhm.
you wanna see? Do you wanna see
Right.
benches?
Mhm.
Do you
Right.
wanna see sculpture?
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this route
That's
is
better.
going to be the most successful. We're giving them ideas. You can't just say, what do you wanna see? Because they don't have
Exactly.
any
Nobody
experience
knows.
with creative placemaking. So that's why I would lean more towards 7 as an example. You know, this is an example of what creative placemaking does, right? Here are some cultural events, just like you've done. You've listed some things. Do these sound good to you? If so, where? Just like you've got, you know, on number 7.
Yep.
I
So
would
keep that
probably
one.
stay away from too many fill in the blanks, you know, trying to summarize
Right.
Superior in one word. I don't like that.
this where you've got options and then you have a choice for a write-in.
Mhm.
So how
Exactly.
people think.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
I think we've got all the great questions there, we just
Yeah,
gotta,
just need
so
to go
I
through
think those are perfect. And so then once you, and pretty soon in the survey, so then their, creative juices start going, like, oh, I
Yeah.
never even thought about a mural or whatever, and so then maybe they start getting excited about it. And then they start thinking about the things they love, like, oh, along the bike trail I could see, now I'm picturing stuff. And so then we could, you know, hit them with a few of the specifics a little further on, so.
Well, and a good survey will partly, educate people and partly ask them for their opinions, you
Yeah.
know, and then, you don't wanna lead them into the question, so you don't wanna lead them to the answer. You just wanna provide them with choices so they can make their own decision.
Is there
I
a
like the
psychological way when you ask these questions, or I'm sure that you guys know this, that for instance, this one, what are the priority locations? Is it important to put them in a specific order?
The locations,
Well, no, they're choices.
the choices sometimes would be alphabetical,
Okay, so there's,
yeah,
okay.
in that way, yeah, it's better to do.
Well, I was gonna
anything-
say, so you're not leading them into, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first one is parks, and everybody in
Answers, yeah.
Superior probably go, whoa, parks, but then they wouldn't think about,
Yeah.
what about underpasses?
Yeah.
So, okay.
What is the
Alphabetical
Safeway
order.
Marketplace called?
I have no idea, and I live across the street from
It
it.
has a name,
It has a
but I
name.
would add that to that list, because we specify
Yeah.
Superior Marketplace, downtown, original town. It does have parks, but that,
I'll put Safeway on here, and we'll find out.
it's like Rock Creek Village or something.
I think that's
Yeah,
it,
and I
actually.
think that's it.
What is the downtown called?
Downtown Superior.
Is it called the town?
Downtown Superior.
That is-
Yeah,
That's the
downtown.
official name.
Wait, downtown Superior?
Yeah.
Okay. We should make sure that's correct on here. Downtown Superior at the town center, or no?
It says it's town center, they dropped.
They dropped that off completely? Okay. Downtown Superior, okay.
Safeway.
So does, does everyone agree that this question 7, what are the priority locations, should be in round 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so do you wanna go, let's go
Let's
back
start
to the
at the beginning.
questions and just
Yeah.
give sort of like what we did with our art stuff, kind of
Yeah.
not think about it too much, but go round 1, round 2, or, not sure, kind of.
And our
you know.
goal is 15 to 18?
Yeah,
12
and, the 15 would probably be more, at the high end. And then maybe once you guys take the survey as a test, we could even go back.
See how long it takes.
Okay.
Well, and I
Yeah,
do
I'm
think, is
concerned-
that including the demographic questions though?
No, I think demographics are
Totally separate.
addition to
Okay.
that, yeah, and they are always at the end.
Okay.
But how are we gonna get this whole thing down to 5-day questions?
We're not.
It's
15 to
It's gonna be
18.
15 day, why are
5
we
to
gonna,
8
why are we
minutes.
gonna go, why are we gonna go 5 minutes instead of 2.5?
What?
Maybe it will be
Well,
quicker.
I
it's up
mean,
to you
we'll
guys
see.
how long you want it to be, but all I know is there's like a million questions we could ask, so, and that
That
could
doesn't
be a
mean-
long survey, but.
Yeah, but we can't ask if we lose their attention after a minute.
I think if we go through it all, maybe we'll end up with fewer than that,
Mhm.
you know, so we can just start going through and see what gets whittled out in round 1.
Yeah, oh, well, are we just starting then where it says perceptions
Yeah,
of
page
superior?
3,
Yes.
perceptions of superior, I think
I only
that,
like
Okay.
question 5.
So what is the purpose of asking about perceptions of superiority?
I
This'll
agree.
help us figure out like
Six.
themes, what people think of their place is really important, how much pride do they have, how much,
Is
joy
there-
do they have when they're in their town?
And I wouldn't
And
put
then
this
what we
first.
usually do with
That's
this kind of
first.
question is we make a word cloud that depicts it, and we use that in a lot of promo stuff, that people think this about Superior, and this is what people want the world to know about us.
So this is
And
more
so
of the-
that's how
more
we
of the
try-
branding part.
That's how we try to brand and theme a lot of the programs that we do,
Oh, the branding,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
important.
Okay,
I like
I have
number
a, I have a
2.
question,
Okay, go ahead.
right on top, about perceptions of superior, thinking about your time living, visiting, or working superior, ask about the perceptions of superior. Okay, if you just, say, like up here, this helps us prioritize the Superior Master Plan. And then you just start off with, not any of that, Superior is, write in. What comes to mind when you think of Superior, write in?
Well, those two are
Well,
kind of, I
I
would
think
pick
that
only
we're-
one
I
of
don't like
those.
any
I
of
would
those.
pick,
I would
I don't
take
like
all of
either
them.
one.
Yeah.
I only
I
like
don't like
5 and
either
6.
one of them.
But
Yeah, I would
my
say
point is,
three
why,
and
why,
five.
why put in the perceptions of superior? That's useful for us to know where those questions
that
came
is,
from.
that
But,
is, right, we don't have to have that.
yeah,
test.
but that's not necessary for people taking the,
Oh, so we could just eliminate that text.
Eliminate that
We can
altogether.
eliminate that test.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I Xed it out.
it doesn't
If you
function.
don't like
I
it, then
agree.
cross it out.
It
I've
doesn't
crossed out
function at
all,
She
all.
doesn't
yes.
like the description.
Oh, that's what you always lead in with
No,
what you're
no, it
yes,
doesn't
you do.
function at all.
Well, I'm sorry, that's just a survey like thing, there are just some things in the survey that we need to do.
Right.
For example, we need to tell people we're gonna aggregate the information and make it anonymous.
Oh, yeah,
That's just
but
what you
this,
do.
look,
And so
you've
it's
got,
just a nice way to lead in.
There's nothing, I don't.
it's so
to
repetitive.
tell people
Living,
what-
visiting, or working in Superior. How about thinking about your time in Superior?
Yeah, you could take that out.
I mean, this
Or
is
just
so
thinking about
wordy all
Superior.
the way
Yeah.
through, it's
Or
driving
just-
me crazy.
Or how about just
Well,
write
you know what,
about this?
why don't you take it home and wordsmith it and then let us have it and we will re-wordsmith it.
Yeah.
We
I-
could
that's
just say,
fine,
the
if that's
next,
what you wanna do.
the next few questions ask about your perceptions of superior.
Uh-huh.
I agree. Which one did you keep, Melinda? Just 5,
5 and
correct?
6, maybe
I
5 and
actually
maybe
like
6.
4 and 5, but you said 5 and 6, what are your
Definitely
favorites?
5.
Definitely 5.
those.
I like
But I
5, yeah.
think if you need to make
Five's
a
the
word
only one I
cloud, then
like.
we need people to give
Yeah, I don't
words.
mind 2. Kinda
And I
like
actually
2
don't
if
like
you-
this as the first section, I think we should,
Usually you start very general,
Okay.
Instead of, you don't wanna dive right into creative placemaking or public art or anything, you just start real general.
And I like
overview.
4 because it's easy. You can
Yeah.
just
I-
pick one, and
exactly.
then you don't have to think, so give them an easy one right off the bat,
I agree.
and then ask them your 5 and 6.
If I
Like
looked
this
at
number one?
this and you can't send me this
Wanna
and I'm
make
like,
this number one?
Superior is, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't
No.
wanna think about this.
So what do you,
Well,
do you
now,
guys,
is it easier to answer
Don't
what
put
comes
one
to
on.
mind?
In
when you
one
think about
word, how
superior?
about one word?
I'm sorry.
Superior is in one word.
I don't like them.
No.
I don't
like
either.
doing
I
it.
actually
Start
like
out with
two
how
better
happy
for
does
some reason.
superior make you?
I like that.
So what if we do, so
Oh,
what
yeah.
if number 4 is number 1 for
I agree.
round 1?
Oops, this is supposed to be unhappy.
5 and 6.
Oh,
And
we're-
then add 5 and 6?
Yeah.
Okay,
so we're not gonna
so
ask
just
what are
so
your
we're
favorite.
going-
But I thought we need a word cloud. Isn't that what
Yeah, I
they
know,
were
'cause that's
saying?
What does the
thinking-
word cloud have to do
So
with?
she was
I
saying
know,
like
that's
for
just what
branding
I like to
purposes, they-
use for branding, it's
so then
just
she
common
wanted to generate
thing.
people to say
Yeah.
words, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just knowing what people think in a few words really helps us identify
So-
who we
so
are
the
and
ra-
what people think we
Is,
are.
is this right in?
So one of the objectives is to find out who we are and what people.
Well,
are.
that was my suggestion, if you guys don't wanna learn about how people think of Superior, then we don't have to ask those questions.
Well, you might
I'm
put
just
that
trying to clarify.
after, maybe that shouldn't be the first question, maybe that should be the
Number-
last one in this section.
Sure.
how about we do the word cloud in round 2? So we give them some of these easier questions and then, and in the round 2, we ask for some of the word cloud components. Cause they've been thinking about it a little bit longer, we've been talking about it, they've been hearing about creative placemaking. So they might actually be a little more creative about the words that they put out.
I like that. Okay,
Okay.
so 4 is number 1, 5 is number 2, 6 is number 3. Do we want, and I'm thinking we maybe do, what is Superior's greatest challenge? I can tell you what they're
think we
gonna
should.
say. I know what they're gonna
It's
say.
number
I
7.
don't, I
I
think we
don't
should put
see
that
why
in there.
we don't wanna
What?
get any
Yeah.
negative feedback.
There's no gathering space, there's no place to go like for dinner.
Yeah, I think we should put that in there. So
Okay.
that we get that feedback.
I'm okay with it, I just.
And if you just leave it as what is, then they can only write in one thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's good,
Right.
because 6 is positive and then 7 is a challenge, so we're getting
Yeah.
both.
Okay.
I think we wanna,
Both
I
sides.
kinda wanna hear what
Actually,
people say.
Superior's
Yeah.
greatest asset might also help you with your, word cloud.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, those are all.
Yeah.
Did you say this
Those
one
are-
would be?
we have
So,
three of them.
I think
so
they
1,
crossed that
2,
out.
3, 4, these are the 4 that we want.
And we skip 1 and 2 or bring it in
We
on day
We
2,
skip 1 and 2.
1, 2, and 3.
right,
1, 2, and 3, yeah.
are on part 2.
Yeah, it
Possibly.
could be in person,
Possibly.
possibly. But let's get round 1 figured out
Okay,
tonight. I think
got it.
that's a priority.
Perceptions and attitudes.
Okay, can we leave that off, perceptions and attitudes about creative placemaking?
So,
Well, that's
Oh, and
Oh,
have you ever
number
heard of
5.
the term creative placemaking?
One,
Okay.
two.
What would that tell us? Why,
yeah, I think
Why-
I'm
what would that
envisioning
tell
it
us?
more so like, you know, if we're picturing this as screens, the first screen is the, description of the survey. And then the next screen really should define creative placemaking and give the image examples.
Mhm.
Before they even go into the survey, I would do the education right up front.
Mhm.
Just one screen of it, you know,
yeah,
not a long
With the
thing.
picture.
and with these
Yeah.
questions, if so, in a sentence or two, how would you describe creative placemaking?
I think you should
That-
define it for people.
That doesn't make sense
Yeah.
being in there when the very next questions are telling you all about what creative placemaking
No,
is.
I
Well,
think-
that's
I don't-
kind of the point, you ask them what they know, and then we can figure out how much education we have for the community if they don't know.
I mean, I think I would assume
We're
based on our
asking for
conversations that,
education.
And then the next
That
few
is something we
questions
need to
help
define.
educate them in case they don't know.
But why
Oh,
ask
here,
them?
here,
I
Oh,
just
here's-
explained it, so that we educate
Doesn't make
people on
sense.
what we're doing.
well, but I think you're asking them,
Doesn't make
what
sense.
is creative placemaking, but I think based on our interactions with people talking about it, I think we already know that people really kind of don't know
Yeah.
what it is. So that's why I'm saying define it at the very beginning of the survey.
Okay,
And-
where would
and-
you, what do you want it
So
to
do
say?
you want a question, or do you?
No, no,
Well, that
just
one
to-
kind of
just-
defines it. That
just
one
define,
question
you know,
down there,
give
didn't it?
some images that are examples and say creative
That
placemaking
helps
is.
me at least.
Mhm.
So
and then
you're
define
saying,
it.
so you're saying in this next section, don't do 1 and 2.
No, I don't think, no, I don't, we're gonna need to ask them.
That just puts them on the spot.
Yes.
I mean, I think.
But
I
number
quit at
3
that
helps,
point.
right?
I quit at that point.
Because if they
With
can-
Yeah, you
educating.
can start, if that one becomes number
you might
1.
feel kinda stupid.
Mhm.
Right, exactly, like, I don't know what this is, this is.
I don't know
super-
what
this
it
is one
is,
of
I
the
can't
Can't
do
be too
it.
hard. So you could just say,
Alright.
what are your favorite examples?
Maybe
So
we
does
just go
everyone,
with this.
so does everyone here agree that we wanna, either postpone or not ask questions 1 and 2 on perceptions?
Yes.
I agree.
And
Out.
attitudes?
Okay, I crossed them out.
Okay,
Okay.
and then, so this one could become this.
I love number
Yeah.
3.
There you go.
Mhm.
What are your?
Why did
favorite
you take
examples?
away, the,
I don't know.
We didn't,
Okay.
just it's just an
How
extra
about-
sentence.
okay,
Below
Fine.
is a list of creative, placemaking activities.
Initiatives.
Initiatives
And
is
then
so
you could just
vague.
say rank the options in
So
order of
vague.
preference.
Initiatives is not vague, it's, pretty descriptive, but we could change it to a different word.
Activities.
Creative
like
placemaking. But not everything is an activity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they
okay.
are. Yeah, they are.
Gina, you're
So-
putting this
I
in
think
ABC order, right?
I think initiatives is probably the better.
Cause it's
Yeah,
a,
really?
art
Yeah.
piece,
Oh,
an
yeah.
art piece isn't
Again.
an activity, is it?
The communication, Dina,
A
the
mural
communication
would be
person,
an
the
activity.
experts.
Okay,
the
when
words
it
with
says
this.
there include
They're
photos
good
with
at this.
each option, we're providing them with a picture,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And
Example.
Where
I
are we doing
also think you
pictures?
could take out the sentence, which are your favorite
Ooh,
examples, listed
include
below.
photos.
Yes.
Because it's the same thing as ranking in order of preference.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Wait, say that again?
She's just
said-
taking out
you take out
the
that
which
sentence.
Find
Children's
your
appear
favorite examples
arrange
listed
the
below,
options
take
below
that
in
out.
order of your.
Oh, cause we're asking them already. Below is a list, so, okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Looks good.
Okay.
I had a couple thoughts. The only one,
And we can add and subtract, of course, to this list, these are all the ones I could even think of.
I know, I mean, it was a really good list of
I
everything.
exhausted my
I'm
brain
not sure I
trying to
put
come
the
up with this
flash mob
list.
like
Pretty good one.
activities.
Yeah.
Yeah, flash
Is that
mob.
just me?
And I don't know what this means, Mitchell gave us that one, I don't understand
He
that.
does social clubs or groups, he had that in
That
his
was one,
talk,
he had them on
remember?
all of them.
Yeah, but it's, I
I'm
don't
not sure.
remember.
Well, it could be like maybe the book clubs
and
and a gardening club
Social
or,
clubs?
yeah.
But the point
Okay.
is that we
Boy
don't have any place
Scouts.
to meet to do them.
Girl Scouts,
Yes,
but
that-
that's okay,
that's
doesn't mean
nice.
it's not a priority.
Well, I think it is a priority, we just don't have any place to put them.
I would
That's-
get rid of
but
flash
that's
mob.
Yeah,
I
flash
cross that, out. That's a little bit too funky to me.
Oh, they're actually great.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know, they are so much
I know,
fun.
but,
I invited you all to the Halloween flash mob party last year and nobody showed up except me. It was wonderful.
So
On the
in-
mall.
In general, you will alphabetize so that there isn't a feeling of priority
Yeah,
over
yeah.
a certain
good,
one.
because we didn't get a lot of public or positive feedback on murals, so we don't really wanna start with murals for their brain to think, oh my gosh.
Should we put in the conventional, sculpture, public sculpture?
Well, we could do that where you would just say, what would you call it?
There's interactive art in public places.
But less interactive, just.
Right,
just
how
art
would you
to
say
look
that,
at.
like
Just
physical,
art in public
like,
places?
Yeah,
just
Why
general.
not just art, not say
Where are we?
interactive?
Yeah,
And
and then
s-
that would
Okay.
incorporate
where are
interactive
we?
and non-interactive art.
Oh, we don't need both those, you're right.
So just do art in public places.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. The other thing, when it says cultural hub or gathering place, can we put gathering place first or cultural hub?
Sure.
Is anybody like totally
That's fine.
opposed to that? I mean, I want
That
them to
puts it
think,
lower down in the ranking now.
oh, the ABC ranking?
It's okay.
And
Instead
then,
of a C, it
Okay,
starts
Okay,
with a
I
G.
want them to think of gathering place, especially with all the discussion around Land Rover and when, as you saw, they're bringing in the downtown center, right next to the plaza, potential community gathering space. We want them to start thinking of gathering places for art, social clubs, groups.
So,
Whatever.
and my idea
didn't
for
see it,
an
but it was
example
weird.
would be the Rayback Collective or, like we can talk about.
I agree,
photos to go with this.
Stanley Market, like Stanley Market has this really cool thing, if you haven't seen it, the Sistine Chapel.
So with this list of things, if people have additional, things they wanna add, let us know.
and with cause there's street murals on sidewalks and intersections, but should it just be general, or should you also add like other murals, or is that just, cause that's kinda specific, more specific than having a.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any buildings we could put murals on,
Yeah,
that's why I
well,
didn't add it.
underpass.
Right,
Oh, okay.
that's.
You've got
Sounds
underpasses
sports
that you
stable.
can do murals.
Is that
Yeah.
what
But
it is?
I think-
Oh, and underpasses.
Let's see.
Yeah, I
Street
saw
murals,
underpasses
street-
somewhere.
Yeah,
Where
Where
did I
did
see
it
it? Do you wanna add
Somewhere.
underpasses
Yeah, that would
here,
be good.
or
Yes.
well.
art
Oh, wait,
in
I see.
underpasses?
Yeah,
Or
especially
maybe
because
not.
Mitchell loved, the idea of art on the underpass
And it
between
doesn't have
Grasso
to be
and the
murals
Cold
because
Creek
we looked at the
Pathway.
opportunity for light art and things like that, so just
Graffiti.
as general, art in underpasses is perfect.
How about
Street
art in
murals, yeah,
underpasses
that makes
slash
sense.
bus stops or anything like that, do we?
We're already doing the bus stops, so.
Okay, so
No
don't
matter
do
what
that.
they
No
say.
matter what,
We
they-
don't care what they think about
Yeah.
bus stops. I'm just kidding.
I like that, that's a good question, that's round one, correct? I even
Yeah,
put a star on
this is
it.
a round one.
I like that.
Okay, what about question 4, what spaces and or places in Superior do you
Is that
think?
kind of like the number 7 one that we liked, that listed out all the places?
It
Yeah.
feels like,
Yeah, I think
so
so.
we could probably,
We could take that out and we
eliminate
have the
that.
other one.
Yeah, so cross that number 4 or maybe in the second round, okay.
And this one is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So this one is meant to say, there are a lot of different things we can,
Functions.
a lot of different reasons we would do placemaking. And each of these answers will guide you potentially to a different method or a different creative placemaking initiative. So for example, if you wanna transform a place into something better, then you're gonna look at all your shabby alleyways and do something about it. Or if you're looking at contribute to improving the economy, then you're gonna wanna look at all the creative businesses in town and help them somehow. So these things will lead you to a different initiative path.
So,
And so if they can help us prioritize what is most important, then we can figure out what kind of programs to
so
do.
maybe we can ask, what would you like to accomplish through creative placemaking?
Sure.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
That's what, great, write it down. What
Accomplish.
In your opinion,
would,
would I take out this?
take
fir-
out
take
in
out
your
that front,
opinion,
yeah.
cause of course, their opinion, that's
So
redundant.
what would you like to accomplish?
What would you
Yeah, creative
To-
placemaking contributes greatly to improving community,
like
period.
accomplish
What would you like to accomplish?
Through creative placemaking.
through
Again,
to
Dina and the communication guy, et cetera, can come up with much better
Place.
words.
Oh, I thought this is great.
Oh, I think Debbie liked the first creative placemaking contributes greatly to improving communities.
Yeah.
You crossed that one out.
yeah, you can.
Which-
leave the-
Leave that first sentence.
I like that sentence because I think we all strongly believe that it does.
Yeah, there. Go.
This first
go
one,
to-
keep
Yeah,
it?
go to the
That
left.
seed.
Plant
Yeah.
that little seed in their brain.
You could
Yeah, that's good.
okay.
Transform superior, or just anything, or?
What would you like Superior to accomplish through creative placemaking?
There
Because
you
we're
go.
not asking them personally to accomplish
Yeah,
something.
superior to accomplish
Right.
through creative placemaking.
They're gonna make me paint a mural.
No, maybe, okay. Any
Okay,
other-
so these are good.
Oh, these are good. Okay, next page.
I don't
Yeah.
understand D though. Can
The
you read
public
that one?
sightseeing, is that the?
Offer open to the public sightseeing and entertainment.
Yeah, that one I don't.
I didn't understand that yet, that was just.
Oh, yeah, this is, let me think, what was this one? So what it originally said, cause this was from a different survey I had, was, what would you like public art to accomplish? And it was free and open to the public sightseeing and entertainment, as opposed to going to a museum and having to pay. So
So
that's why
open to the public is
communities,
one word,
yeah, that's why
Hmm.
communities do public art, is because it's free and open to the public instead of having to pay an admission.
Okay,
And
So that's where I was
So,
getting at.
I
So
don't
probably
Like
Like
maybe you're
for-
talking about doing a walking tour for the various art
Yeah,
things
so
that
I
we have.
probably, we could wordsmith this one for
Well,
sure to make more sense.
Or we could charge for the main event, I mean, we're asking, so, next year we could decide that we want to charge people $5 for the main event. But if we get people's feedback that they want everything to remain free, then we could decide not to do that. That's what I think this is asking. But
You could
maybe
just
take
say
out the public
offer
sightseeing,
events that are open to the public.
Yeah,
or
events
something.
events and
Or
activities
that are open to the that are free and open to the public.
Yeah. Events,
Yeah.
entertainment, whatever, that's free to the public.
Yeah, put the word free in there.
Because we don't have, NCAR would be a classic of probably what you're getting at in number D. You can go to NCAR and see all their art and all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
for free. We don't have anything like that. But if we just find out what they want
but we
for
could
free.
start charging for events,
Yes, we could.
So would be good to
Okay.
know.
Well, I think E and A are kind of the same thing too.
E and A.
Transform something into something better and improve improve the look and feel? Is that the same thing?
Not really, cause we're
No.
talking about public spaces versus
So
One
you
is-
think
maybe
more-
a
A is a little more
marketplace.
general.
Yeah, one is
Yeah.
transforming something that's awful probably now, whereas E is more of just something's fine as is, but let's make it better.
So it's a matter of
This-
degree.
Yeah, and the look and feel, like, could be like, you know, the,
We could clarify more if you think that's helpful.
the article that you sent out about transforming and turning, you know, parking lots into
Plazas.
plazas. I
plazas.
think that
Oh.
that's,
You're
What
improving
use
Superior
capacity.
Marketplace in those areas that it's just asphalt, for instance. That's an
I
improvement.
think that fine distinction might be lost on the survey taker.
No, that was gonna be my next,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
that's gonna be my
It's
next
just
comment,
simple,
is that I
nuanced.
think it's, yeah,
Simplify it.
Okay,
They're
so
gonna say, what are
A,
they
so which
talking
do you
about?
like better,
I-
transforming or improve?
I like improving.
Okay, so get rid of
I
transform.
mean, we
Transform
have
is-
so many great places in Superior, there are very
We
few
don't have
really awful
blight,
places,
yeah.
yeah.
we don't have blight or alleys.
We don't
or-
have,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
And in this case, if we wanted pictures, we could show like a
Show
plaza.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
let's
I
do
like
that.
to have
Oh.
a picture there.
Mitchell has a really good example of that, Dina. You know,
The
where they
big
took
one?
the parking lots.
Oh, put the bistro tables in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a great picture of that.
Okay.
And now the next thing,
Okay.
we don't like
We
that,
don't wanna,
right?
we don't wanna talk about downtown in this
Yeah.
phase.
Six should come out.
Second,
This is
Second.
maybe round two,
round two.
And then,
maybe. It's
I
the
think
business
people,
thing.
I think people up by Terry feel pretty strongly about the Rock Creek Marketplace, for instance, and what if Land Rover turns into something?
Well,
So-
and that's where I'm thinking we wanna broaden it versus
Yeah.
being so narrow as to saying, just saying downtown Superior.
I
So
guess, so
let's-
we'll do that
We'll
second round.
focus on round
Okay.
two. Okay, so leisure, arts and culture
Isn't that great when you put
participation.
them
In the last
The
12
camera
months,
and they're
enrich
not.
arts and culture.
and you're not
That
there,
seems-
like, okay.
and that's just to gauge how
If they're-
interested they are, and
Yeah.
this person is in arts and culture.
Yeah,
Okay.
You
So then
might
we
wanna
could-
say none.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, put none down there.
Oh.
And then we might filter through this question, like, of the people who heavily attend events, and then weigh those people
Yeah,
stronger or something.
because
Well-
there are some people, art's not gonna be anything
No
they're
matter
interested
what.
in.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where the next question comes in. On a scale of 1 to 10, is it important to you at all?
Yeah, yeah,
So I think those are great
I like
questions,
those a
1
lot,
and 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, I didn't know if we wanted a specific to youth.
I don't
I
think we
think
should.
we take
That
out the
would-
word youth and just engage in art.
Oh, there it is.
I agree.
But maybe we don't need it if we're asking the scale.
I would say you
Question
take
2.
out youth or completely leave the question out.
I would say leave it out for right now, maybe that
Yeah.
could be a round two question,
Round two, I like that, okay.
So number 3 would be round 2.
but
Then
without,
take out
without
youth.
the youth, yeah. Okay, I like 4, but I hate to say
Please
this,
list your top 3 favorite events.
I could
Only
only
3
come up
events.
with
Yeah.
3.
Only have
Period.
3 events.
Well, this would be any events, so no matter who does it, it could be the HOA's movies, it could be the town stuff, it could be, maybe it's book club, who knows?
What,
It could be anything.
activities and events in town perhaps? Cause then that opens the door to
Mhm.
those ideas, cause I would be like, well, there's only 3 town events and I, you know,
Yeah, I think
I'd
that
do the
needs to be
same.
wordsmithed, whatever you guys come up with on it. Cause when I think of events, I literally, well, you have Arbor Day, 4th of July,
Chili Fest.
movie nights, Chili Fest, Skate with Santa.
Should we list a few things then?
that's what I'm saying, because
Yeah, I
you say
think
regardless
And you're
of,
causing people to have to think at
Oh, we
that
have our
point.
book, we have our
We need to have automatic answers.
one town, one book
on the same
Don't
page.
make them
on the same
think.
page.
I mean, I was dropping out, this is about the 3rd time I've dropped out as a survey taker from this.
Well, we don't want your input anyway.
I mean, you know, just as somebody taking it, this is the 3rd
And
time I'm dropping
You
out.
are very patient.
And what's
Well,
the
I have to
difference?
think, you're making me think in that.
What's
you
the
should.
Don't
reason,
do that.
and what's the reason for these questions?
These are, this set of questions is,
So we can figure out what people's preferred leisure activities are.
yeah, what they like, leisure, arts and
So
culture
people say
participation.
that they like to, watch movies, we'll say, would you be interested in movies in the park more often? Or, you know, something like that, or.
Well, that's down there in question 8.
When you have free time, what do you like to do? Check it
Yeah.
on the fly.
And that might encompass all of it.
Yeah.
See, if, for me, for 4, the have attended in Superior or in town, that means only those things here. If you're not specific to that, they may say, you know, the Louisville Street Fair or the county
Well,
fair.
Oh,
and-
like Pearl Street Music, whatever they call
Band
Yeah.
on
it,
Bricks.
Band on the Bricks.
Yeah,
What
so-
about Face in Community Park in Louisville?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so.
but I
And-
don't
and
think
would
we
that
want
be
that
useful?
information.
But hopefully this
Well-
is saying in town or in Superior, they will choose just the things. But if we
Although-
provide a list
Yeah.
of some examples,
Although it might be useful to let people list locally, what are your
What
favorite
they
things?
like, because they,
I think,
Yes.
I like locally.
if they like street fair, that's good to know, then they
Right.
like
Yeah.
something like that. Then
If they
they'll-
like the Friday night art walk.
But where are we gonna,
then-
where are you putting that under question 4? Are you expanding question 4?
I just
Yeah.
put locally. List all the events that
Yeah,
you've
they
attended
attended
locally,
Or maybe just,
Why not
regardless
just,
of who puts it on.
what's wrong with just in Superior?
or it could
Because
just
we're
be, because
expanding
it sounded
outside
like
of Superior.
what you wanted to know was what kind of arts and leisure events do people like to go to. But maybe they go to things when they're on vacation, maybe they go to things, and that might be a great thing to bring to Superior. But we won't hear that if we filter what you just like in Superior. Then we're just amplifying what we already do.
Right.
But I
Right,
think
and
number
I-
8 covers that. So
But
it's like,
it's-
what do
yeah,
you
I
like to
think
do,
so.
then that's gonna be local.
I think so, it's such a repeat and it makes you think, hate to think.
So maybe we just wanna know what are the favorite events and activity you go to anywhere, or, you know, that you like to do.
Because then we could maybe come up with a really good idea of something that we have not
To
thought
bring
of,
here.
that we could bring here. Rather than just saying, okay, we're limiting it to Arbor, 4th of July, Chili Fest, Ski Santa.
I would agree, I think it would be good to know, I mean,
I would love to get their input on
and
what they
maybe
like to
you
do.
don't
but-
do, what do you do in your free time? I don't know.
Do you say,
know.
think of all the events you have attended anywhere?
Locally.
Or
Locally
Locally.
is to
arts,
Locally.
arts or cultural events.
Just locally.
Yeah,
Not-
you could
not
use
like
that as
we
the
don't know
introduction
sporting
for
events.
number 8 and then say,
And then write in other things, maybe
Right.
it is like the intro to 8, and then
Yes.
you write
Yeah.
in
Yes.
other activities.
Yes, make those 2 1. Yes.
cause that's a good list,
Make
an
what?
8 that
Two?
you.
I
Make
love
4
the
and
way
4
they
and 4 and
age.
8 the same
Yeah.
question.
So
So how
combine
would that
4 and
read?
8 in such a way that then they can add, you know, they can write in other things that they did.
So tell me what the question would say.
So think of all the events that you have attended locally, regardless of who puts on the event.
I think it's,
Rank, what does it say?
Well, it says, please
Uh,
list your top 3, but,
No, then you just have to say, check all that apply.
oh, and number 8.
Go out to dinner, attend a professional or amateur event,
Think
etc.
of all the cultural and arts
So-
activities that you.
We
Well, yeah,
would
but I
say,
don't
think
think
of
we
all
want-
your leisure activities.
I think we want leisure activities because, for instance, someone may love, their passion is going to sports stable to watch hockey.
Okay, so we even wanna know if.
I think we
sporting
wanna
events.
know even sporting events, riding your bike.
well, you've got to go to the gym, hiking, walking, bicycle
Right.
riding.
That's what I'm saying, I love the number 8 list.
So if most people love going hiking, you might wanna consider doing creative placemaking projects on trails.
On trails,
Like, so
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what,
Right.
what I'm getting at here.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
If people like to swim, maybe we do murals on the bottom of the pool. You know, it's like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff we're trying
Or-
to get at.
Around the
Yeah,
edge.
so I really like 8.
And maybe we keep it question 8 as that, and they can write in other things, and question 4
But
could be
that's more
around
spec-
2.
That 4
If
seems more
we-
specific to just arts and cultural events. And then 8 is a little more like, what are all the things you like to do? You know,
Well,
do
then,
both.
but then how do you combine 8 and 9, because 9 is the cold months, and actually before I even got to 9, I wrote, these are only 3-season
Mhm.
activities.
Oh,
So,
here.
And then I did a
Then you
winter
have
one
a
too, cause I
huge-
thought the same thing, I was like, what about the winter?
But I just
Yeah.
think if someone says, if a lot of people say, oh, we like skiing, well, what are we gonna do with that? Build a ski hill? I mean, we're not really gonna do that.
Well, maybe
So
we
what-
do poetry on ski buses up to the, I don't know, you know, like, there's something you can figure out to do if people like skiing.
Yeah.
If people like
They'd
skiing,
be
we
like, oh my
can,
gosh, they've got a.
we can commission an artist to paint a skier on the side of something.
I
know,
will say
because
though,
the idea
just
of
because
having
someone
a
says they like
bus
skiing, it's
from
not really saying
Superior
that they wanna
to
hear
go
poetry on the ski
to
bus.
various ski
Well,
places.
that's the
know?
point, we find out what they
Really good
like,
idea. That
and
way
then
they
we
don't have to
develop
drive.
programs around it.
Exactly.
That's how you figure out what to do your programs about.
Do we have
I mean,
to keep 8
to
and
me,
9
that's more
separate?
like, do you like hearing poetry?
Oh.
Well, could we like regroup, we were still at four as far as I know.
Yeah, and you know,
Debating
the
4
town,
and
I'm
8.
sure would like to know what events people are coming to. So if you're a person who loves outdoor festivals, but you've never come to one of our festivals, it's
I
like,
think
it
you're
makes you
right, it
wanna
is a
ask
data-
another
I
question.
think you do want this data point.
I
I would,
think this is a huge data point.
I would
personally.
just ask them to list them in order of their favorite and not their top 3, you know, that way we just think of the events you've attended in Superior, regardless of who put them on, list them in order of your favorites first or something, and not limit them to 3.
But
So
how
we're
would that,
back to
if
Superior,
everybody
not
lists the
locally?
things that we already do,
Yeah,
how does that
that doesn't-
inform a new creative master plan?
Exactly, I think we still need the word locally
okay.
If we
instead of
find
in
out people
Superior.
like Chili
If
Fest,
they-
or that
we
like
still
Chili
need-
Fest is their favorite, then
We still need the word locally rather than in Superior, because
locally is
if,
too
if,
vague,
if
I
they like the
believe.
Chili Fest, they'll put it down, but if they also like the street fair in Louisville, they'll put it
Well,
down.
locally
If
it-
they like Art Night Out in Lafayette, they'll put it down. We need to know in a bigger way what our residents,
Because we're trying to
Then
come
we
up
Why?
with
should say
because
regional,
I
not
think
locally.
that we're trying to come up
Locally
with new
means
ideas,
Superior.
right?
Let's say regional then.
okay?
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I think
Regional
those
instead
are
of
really
Superior.
two different
Yeah.
questions. I mean, we're either trying to come up with new ideas or we're trying to find out what you like that we already do.
Exactly, it's like new or rank the old.
Well, I'd
Then
like to
what-
know
But
both.
we can do both, yeah.
Oh.
When you say
Yeah.
That's what she
regional,
was saying,
That's
it's a
what
good
my
data
point
point,
is.
we don't have to get rid of
Yeah.
8, and, we don't
Yeah.
have to
That might be an
divide or
interesting
get rid
data
of.
point. I just don't think it's crucial to creating a new creative master plan. It might be an interesting data point for
Well,
the town
I
to know.
disagree, cause what if people say they don't like Chili Fest, and they don't
Or
wanna
they
come
think it's
again?
getting too big, which
Well,
a lot
then,
of people
yeah,
have
so
said.
then that helps us define, okay, if we're not gonna do Chili
would
Fest
agree.
anymore, what else can we do?
What else can we do?
Oh, well, say they like
But then
this
you're asking
mural
what do you
festival,
not
let's
like,
do a mural
because you're
festival.
asking what are your 3 favorites, so they wouldn't
Mhm.
answer
No,
it
we're not
during
gonna
Chili
limit
Fest.
it to the top 3, we're
But if
just
Chili
gonna rank
Fest
them in
doesn't
order.
rise to the top, if people
what you're
that fill this out don't put Chili Fest in, you know that there's a problem with Chili Fest,
right,
for example.
Mhm.
right.
Absolutely.
And if they put other events that are nearby in other
If
towns,
people
we can
say-
incorporate that into our plan.
But I would just leave it, I'd leave the question as is. I wouldn't
Yeah,
add
I mean,
the
I guess
regionally-
at some point you all need to decide which of these questions you're gonna fall on your sword to get rid of or to keep.
Yeah.
And is this one that you really don't want us to have, Claire, and should we keep talking about it?
No, I'm convinced that we need it because, like you said, if the 3 that rise to the top are smaller, then that's really important for us to know the creative placemaking plan, because we
We
know
want the
that,
smaller things.
that we want the smaller things. But if they're putting, go for the Gusto, Chili Fest and all the big things, then they want the main event and they're gonna want more things like that, so.
And I do wanna know more of what they want, like, here in town, I mean,
Are they going on the bird watching tours, like, is that important to them?
Yeah. so do we wanna leave 4 in, or as is, or do people feel like that it should say regionally?
But is that already known through evidence of how many people go to them?
We don't know who's
We
coming.
don't know who's going, I mean.
Or but how many people attend?
Yeah, but I know
versus-
Chili Fest
Chili
is
Fest
a
is
lot
not
of,
just residents. period.
Oh,
it
okay, I
used to
see.
be, well, I moved here not quite 10 years ago.
It's a lot of
and
other people.
It was kind of small and you did get your little cups of chili or whatever,
Got
it's
it.
just in the last 10 years it's gone.
You know, 4th of July, I would say, is a more local,
Is a more
you know,
local
like
event.
those are the people,
Yeah.
I mean, people will come because there aren't a lot of 4th of July parades, but it's definitely much more.
And they don't tally who's where from where.
Well, can I say another word about dropping out of this, another point where I would drop out if I was taking this? Think of all the events you've attended
Well,
in
Marcia,
Superior.
we've been working on
Wait a
this an
second,
hour and a
I'm
half.
speaking.
Of course
Think
you
of
would
all
drop
the
out at
events
an
that
hour
you've,
and a half.
please give me the courtesy of not talking over me. Think of all the events that you have attended in Superior, regardless of who's put on the event. Now I'm bummed out because I'm a Superior resident who's never attended one of the events, so I'm feeling insulted, so I drop out of the survey. If you say regional, at least you might get, something. You might
But
get
I wanna know what
But
they're
farmer's
doing.
market,
So if they're
or you
in,
might get
Okay.
the Louisville Street Fair,
let's
so.
all take a vote and see what we wanna do. Does everybody wanna leave it in as is, or do we wanna change it, or do we wanna take it out, or do we wanna add regionally?
I don't like regionally.
Regionally,
Or
These are just two totally different questions.
Right, if you add regional, then it's a different
Questions
question.
that you're getting totally
Who
different
wants, to leave it as is? Who
I
wants
know I'm
to
not
take it out?
supposed to abstain, I don't really,
There's,
truly.
yeah, there's 3 people here.
Maybe the person, Dina, who wordsmiths this, I think what we're trying to get to, of the Superior events, which ones are their favorite, but I think it's so much more important for a master plan on really what would they like to see, which is number 8. So I don't, when someone's, and that's not us, but someone,
And-
when they're wordsmithing, maybe they can come up with a really good way to
I don't know
get to-
who this person, that mythical person is that's gonna be
Yes.
wordsmithing
the
it.
communication person, or Dina, or whoever.
It's not anyone but me.
It's-
I'll
it's-
tell
I
you
think
right
we
now.
need to, we need to
The
decide.
unicorn.
No,
No,
the mythical person
Unicorn.
is over here, so.
Okay, she's not mythical,
I mean,
she's
it's
real.
There's enough people in the room that do want to know favorite Superior activities, so just put
Okay.
that one in. If we want a different question that gets at a different, totally different question that says, what are the arts and cultural events that you attend anywhere?
Isn't
What are
that
those?
8?
That's
Well,
just free
that's
time
not,
stuff,
it's,
yeah.
it's a little
But it
more
might have
general
more
to
ideas, 'cause
all events
when
that you
I
go
think
to,
of
not
ideas too,
specifically
I think of when I
cultural.
lived in Philadelphia or when I lived in Vienna. Like I
Yeah,
don't
where did
actually
you
think
go?
of like specific Colorado places, I would say. If you're personally, like all my lists are
People
of
might-
different places. If you want that, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
so, but it sounds like there are enough people in the room that do wanna know what are people's, the top Superior activities.
So we can always add a regional question later.
It's a separate thing,
Yeah,
But that, again, I think that's 8, cause if you say F, you go to a museum, it's clearly not here.
right,
It's a
and,
regional.
and
Right,
there's a
or
write-in,
movie,
there's
or-
other.
Right.
Is there,
Or
it says when
pretty
you
much
have
out to
free
dinner.
Yeah.
time. Or
Jumped in
maybe
for
we trying
camping.
to get something, when you have free time, maybe that free time could have another,
Right,
when you are.
What do
Anyway.
you do in your leisure time?
but we
Well,
have to
see, for-
specify that it's not necessarily in Superior, so maybe this is where we can add in the regional.
Well, how do you divide swimming, which is what I love at Lifetime, but that's not really something, or going to the gym is not really something like going to Stanley Market to the Sistine Chapel or something, or First Friday's Art
Right,
Walk.
it's quite different.
It's
Yeah, it's a
quite
unique
different.
experience. Yeah, it's different from
Camping,
unique
for
experience.
instance, well, a lot of people might camp, but that's not gonna help us come up with master plan ideas for placemaking and events and stuff.
Right.
Well, like I
agree.
said, when you, I could
So-
give you a placemaking example for each one of these, if you'd like.
But I
Yeah,
would say
you
that
can
just
see
because
s'mores,
someone,
like if you love camping,
If we
then you
say
might be an event to do s'mores.
80% of the
that-
people like camping, then maybe we do murals about camping.
I would say that
Okay.
asking someone if they like camping isn't the same thing as saying, do you wanna see murals about camping? If you wanna know that, I think you need to ask that
Yeah,
question.
it's an
That's round
assumption.
2.
That's right.
Oh, so
okay.
if they were to check camping,
Then we would say, what kind of things would interest you with
well, you might
camping?
have a
Would you like
camp
to
out
see murals
in,
about camping?
you might have a camp
Yeah.
out in Community Park,
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
because like
Okay.
the Chicago.
But if you like it too, you like it the way it is, right? You wouldn't
Right.
want it to change because that's what you enjoy doing, or?
Is camping
we
in the
just know what their
mountains.
interests are,
Yeah,
so
but I
we
think
can
that
gear
we
some
have to-
activities towards that.
Yeah. So, question 4 we left in, question 5, do we skip?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, 6, skip,
Skip,
Skip, cause they're not gonna know,
7, skip,
skip,
yeah,
and then we're on 8.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
and we good with when you have free time?
Did
what
we
you
do
like to
regional or superior?
I think you,
We
it sounded like you
Superior.
wanted
I
to
think
know what is
superior.
our top Superior event.
Superior.
Okay.
Okay, so down here, what is this one?
So we're on 8, and then my question is, because this was 3 seasons of activity, and then you added the
Winter.
winter, do we wanna combine it all into
Combine it.
one? It's kind of long then, but,
Oh yeah.
Well, you could just say winter sports and then have parentheses, skiing,
Well, but
ice
in
skating.
both places, they have movies and theaters and art galleries and museums and gyms. So I think we combine 8 and 9.
we combine it in such
Yeah,
a way, and
yeah.
we could add,
But like
you know,
winter sports, or winter, I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
not a winter sports
Although, I mean, I would
person,
keep,
Maybe you divide those into
Into
sections,
two-
like
Indoor,
cultural and
indoor,
arts
outdoor,
events,
something,
Yeah, I was just thinking 2 questions, yeah, so that one question
Indoor.
doesn't have to go all the way down to Q, you know, divide it in half, like, when you have free time, what's the indoor activity you like to do? Choose the indoor activities, and then also when you have free time, what outdoor activities you like to do? And list the outdoor activities in order. And then it won't be such a cumbersome list to get through to try and rank like 20 things.
does that make sense? Does that feel okay to people if we?
Yeah.
divided
Yeah.
it into
Yeah.
indoor and
Yeah,
outdoor?
let's
Indoor
not
and
dwell
outdoor.
on that, that's an easy
Okay.
one, okay.
And then you can keep
Do
the
that.
list as is essentially,
Yeah.
Well, without well,
without duplication.
without
Yeah,
duplication.
duplicates, yeah.
you don't need.
Indoor, outdoor, no dupes.
So then it would be
So
like
you don't need
A,
museums,
8A and
both
indoor
places.
museums and outdoor museums?
Right,
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
okay, perceptions and attitudes.
My perception is we've
See,
got
I had a
attitudes.
problem with this one. Is that philosophically, to me, it is cultural arts. Now, this would be a second round question, because really the first round, we're trying to get to that whole kind of a general thing in terms of cultural arts and placemaking and events, whereas then you're really getting specific towards public art. And I think this is a round 2 kind of question, but
You feel like this section is more round 2?
I do.
I think it adds a whole entire new objective to
I do
find out
too.
people's perceptions and
Yeah.
attitudes. If our 2 objectives are find out what kinds of creative placemaking residents would like to see, and then find out what people think about Superior.
And
Those
I
two
think they've had more opportunity to think and have some language behind it.
What
if
is
we
placemaking,
get to
yeah.
these
Mm-hmm.
more in depth.
Although number 5 seems pretty important.
But
Yeah.
that is, yeah,
That might
I
be
would say
redundant.
5 could be around 1,
That's
and
kind
it
of the
fits
main
in
question.
with with the thinking
Well, but
with.
if Dina says if they click on
That could go in
question
round
8
2.
with everything, there was one in here,
With the gathering and that one, you mean, number 7?
Yeah, that,
Wasn't it number 7 at one point? I
the
don't-
really,
Here,
really long.
number
Outdoor
7.
festival.
I think it is,
What's,
yeah.
what are the priority locations in Superior
Oh,
for
that's
the new?
and that's a biggie,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a biggie.
But
I think 6 is round 2,
So,
I'm sorry, here.
so let's
Um,
start perceptions and attitudes toward public
actually,
art.
what type of public art would you like to see in Superior, and what
I'm
type
like,
of
where
arts?
did I-
That to me is the heart of the whole survey. Isn't that basically what we wanna
Which
find out?
one, 5?
No,
5
because
and
I
6.
think it's not, it's beyond public art. It is music, dance, literature.
Well, can we
Well,
write
we-
that?
But isn't
Arts
that
and
what
cultural
5?
activities?
We know that arts and culture and creative placemaking adds value to the community. We know that.
Well, I don't know
that's
what
I'm
you're saying.
but I don't think we need 1 through 4, but I think 5 and 6 are basically the heart of what we wanna
What
find
was
out.
6?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
5 and
1
6?
through
Okay.
4 would be round 2,
To
5 and
experience.
6 will do round 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And do we want, to me, there's a difference between cultural and creative, or is that just being weirdly picky?
Mm-mm.
Where do you see cultural?
Number 5.
She
I
wants
It
to
just
don't.
says arts and
change-
creative
change
activities.
Creative to me is
cultural.
painting, or maybe
Oh,
composing
versus
music.
cultural.
Oh, you
you wanna
rather
change
say
creative
arts
to
and
cultural?
cultural activities.
I like that idea.
Sure.
On number 5, Nina,
Cultural
change-
is, includes history,
Right.
which
Which I
creative
like.
does not.
I like
Okay.
history and,
Yeah,
That's fine.
I like cultural.
Change to
Arts
cultural.
and
Yeah.
cultural activities.
It's in our title, our group.
So 5 would
Fine.
what type of art,
arts and cultural activity.
or you could say creative and cultural activities, and then so the one thing I feel like everybody puts painting with art, and so if we said creative and cultural activities, that
I like
puts it
that.
into
I like that,
a
Dina.
less,
What type of creative and cultural activities would you be interested in experiencing?
art becomes intimidating to a lot of people.
I agree. They didn't even wanna come do prairie dogs because they thought I was gonna make them paint.
And how many times?
No, I'm
have we-
serious.
Popular.
It was, but they thought, oh, you want me to paint something like, we asked them to paint the murals, and that was a little intimidating.
Okay, so 5
They did.
and, so 5 would read what type of creative and cultural activities would you
Yeah.
be interested in experiencing?
Mhm.
6, we're gonna leave in, any.
In round one.
We're taking, 1 through 4 would be round 2.
Regina trying to follow train of the conversation here.
I'm trying my best to help her. Okay.
Oh wait, go back up to the number 5, what type of creative and cultural activities?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have what type of arts and cultural, I think
Better
you wanted to
put that
leave
on
in
the screen.
creative.
Wait,
We
what's
might
your
just
first?
sound.
Oh.
Didn't we wanted to leave in, wait, did you take out arts
Oh,
and
we
then
wanted
say-
to learn what
creative.
type of, take out art and add creative.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that changes to creative.
There you go.
Okay, sorry, that was confusing creativeness. Okay,
So I have another thought
And
for
7,
round
I think
2.
that's important, right, sorry.
No, just a quick, so we again, we come up with these wonderful ideas of let's have author readings, but in round 2, where are these going to be held?
well, that's
So that's
not
not
our,
important.
That's not our job?
That's
not
not
our
our
job.
job.
It's a
We're-
5-year plan, so
Yeah.
who knows what we'll have in 5 years.
We know that people want it
Well,
and we
you'll
know
have the
that
Land
we need
Rover
places
building.
for it,
That's
but
right.
we're not here
Okay.
to figure out the
Okay, I just
place.
put, these are great ideas, what we're gonna do. Okay.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
that's not our job.
We already decided we like number 7, right?
And 7 we wanted
Yeah.
to add events, public art and events, or events or somehow,
What happened to 6?
What happened to 6?
we
We
kept
keep
it.
We kept 6.
Okay,
Oh.
now, you have to cross out fences in here, by the way,
Why?
because in Rock Creek, you cannot touch your fence.
Well,
That's
just
probably,
because
you know what, I
can't-
I would take that out,
I
because
think people would take that literally.
I do too, I think you need to take
Aren't
out,
there, aren't there other fences in this town?
no.
Not many.
Mm-mm.
I got fences all over my property.
I was gonna say,
I have my property fence.
Oh.
It's fine.
Cool.
We
I
can
just
take it
think
out.
that people are gonna go, whoa, you mean I can paint my fence
Yeah,
like with
right.
rainbows?
Yeah.
Well, and they have to have a special paint
Yeah.
and all of that up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there
Daryl
was.
and I don't have to worry about
Okay,
that.
we can skip
I just
Yeah,
think that
let's
it's,
take that out, D.
because,
A majority of
Okay,
the people who live here
Right.
have
Cannot
HOA
touch the
restrictions on their
Mhm.
fences.
okay, so then
New-
round
new
1,
developments
question
will
7,
happen.
what are the priority
yeah, that's a
locations for
good
new
point.
public art,
And events.
art installations and events? I had it in the wrong place. Okay. And then we wanted to add Rock Creek Village. I think
Okay,
it's,
Safeway's
I think
Rock
it's
Creek
Rock
Village.
Creek Village.
Rock Creek Village?
You better put Safeway in there, and no one's gonna know what that is.
I'll find out for sure, but I'll write that.
I have-
Safeway,
you
put
can
Safeway in
put-
parentheses.
Yeah, Safeway shopping center.
I have another suggestion on the list, bus shelters.
But we are
We're
already
already
doing
doing
them,
those.
so why are we
Oh.
adding something we're already doing?
Oh, okay.
Okay, on to creative community questions.
Should that one be more targeted to specific individuals?
I feel like it's too specific exactly, I think that
I
we
do
don't,
too.
we don't
It's
have,
not a
no,
general survey.
we don't know if there are enough of these people to identify to use
In
these
fact,
questions
maybe
right
we
now.
should
Maybe
just
that whole
ask,
thing
do
should
you
be
consider
re-
yourself
round
a
two?
creative, or, I don't know, are you,
That could be a demographic question.
demographic question, right,
That's
we,
what this one is.
so maybe keep that one in.
Yeah, that one's fine,
Yeah, I think that one's good.
but can we move it to the demographic question, I guess, just so
Yeah.
that it's,
And can we read out that title, creative community questions? The following questions will help us understand, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, this is not gonna be, this title is just for you guys, so you know
right,
what
this
the
is only
section is.
us.
And the following questions will help you understand.
I'll
That's
probably
kind of
have,
down
I'll
talking.
probably have transition descriptions like that are one sentence for each.
and we'll
So
get to,
that's kind
we'll
of
get
down
to,
talking,
we'll get to see.
unnecessary.
Well, I disagree, that it's down talking. I took this
I
method
don't
straight
really
from a
help
survey that
understand.
that I just took with
So,
DU,
but
so.
the demographic questions, and we're moving that to demographic, it says the final set of questions will help us understand.
Exactly,
So
good
I think it's
transition
fine,
sentence,
so we don't
I
have
agree.
to, we've got one
Okay.
transition
Okay.
sentence.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna get to review this before it goes, so,
Right.
You're getting into your male and female and your income, but you have nothing in there about age.
Look at my number 6 on here.
Oh, look at that, I don't have age.
and actually, I
Well, and I
just
don't
didn't
know how
know
we
about
address
question
that.
number 5.
Sure. I'm just like, so you're asking about school age children, well, what about all the new building or a lot of it in Superior, all the patio homes is now geared towards.
Well, we're also allowing 13-year-olds to fill it out, that one just feels, like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And that one that age, was a suggestion by, Kevin
To say
Cologne,
eighth grade,
because of, I think our last survey or something, it was something to do with a previous survey.
well, we
We did 8th grade or more, and that's what Slick, the Slick.
kids are
group-
8th graders, that's, I think that's
Yeah,
what we were
they,
saying.
the Slick kids are 8th grade or older.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we don't
So-
wanna put an age, we're just gonna say 8th grade, that's fine.
Yeah, cause
So-
some kids might be 12, right, in 8th grade, or some might be 13 or something.
And my kid was
No.
12,
So are we gonna
yeah, no, my
drop
kid was
5?
12 in 8th grade.
Now,
Okay,
if,
so
let's
how-
say I take the survey at my house, then can I start it again for I say, hey kids, do you wanna take this, or?
Well, anyone can take it as many times as they want. So I
Oh, so you
doubt
could
that there's
restart
gonna
it.
be people taking it multiple times.
But
We
I mean
just
like
have to trust
multiple
that
members
it's-
of a family in a
Yes,
household.
multiple members of a
right.
household, yeah,
Yeah,
your kids
we just have to
the-
trust with having it open like that people aren't gonna take this 10 times and skew the data.
Mm.
So it's not like locked, you can't go back in once you take it.
Right,
Okay, so anybody, you can take it.
yeah. This is not a statistically valid survey,
Okay,
so no, otherwise we would do that.
okay.
And do we even need a race thing in there?
It's helpful to know, like I said, in the question, in the top, that, the reason we're asking for these things is so we know that if people who are, Caucasian versus another one, they all like one thing and the others don't, then maybe we need to start gearing some programs towards
Mm.
certain groups, just to be more
And there's a
equitable.
lot of Asians who live in Superior,
Mhm.
and we don't have any activities pertaining to their arena.
Can we, add in prefer not to answer, or do we want them, are we forcing them to answer these questions?
That is a good question, I don't know.
I think there needs to be a
Or other.
prefer not to
or
share or
other.
something.
Yeah, cause I mean, I
Number
could get to
3.
hear, I mean, I think you should be required to say whether you're a Superior resident, whether you own a business, but your gender, your
probably
ethnicity, and
not
children, we should have an option that
Sure.
says prefer not to answer.
Yeah, and the reason, number 3, all of the surveys now that are coming out have a longer list.
Yeah, I think
And I
that's
thought,
fine
you know
to add
what,
it
I
right
don't
now.
wanna
Yeah.
add like 6 more things and then have the town board see this and get upset because maybe
Yeah.
they don't like that, so I said, let's just add.
I think
The
that's
basics.
perfect, but
Yeah.
I'd like
I
to
like
add.
that, I like the wording prefer to self-describe.
Yeah, and then D, prefer not to answer.
Okay.
Right.
And the same would be true for the ethnicity, and then do we wanna ask a 6th question, which is the age?
The age,
Yes.
yes.
Age
Yeah.
range,
Yeah, we'll do a range kind of thing.
and I think, yeah,
All right.
Okay,
So I noticed, so we had taken out all of the word cloud type questions, but I had written down that it was one of the original things in the email from Happy City that he wrote, if you had to describe Superior in one word, what would it be? Does that sound simple enough?
that could be our last question.
Mm-hmm, after all this, yeah.
After all
I think that
this,
was-
That'd be a good way to put a, period on it for the person doing it.
Right.
okay, well, we have like 50 questions, so what do
So
we do?
number
Maybe we
2
should say
out
how
of
many we have.
perceptions, what comes to mind when you think of Superior, that would be our very last question? To get your word cloud, is that what you were
Well,
saying?
it was actually,
He had written, if you
if
had
we
to
took
to
that one
describe
out.
Superior
We only have 18.
in one word.
Whoa,
We are
really?
right on the
It'd be-
So we
nose.
could maybe.
I actually only got 15.
Whoops.
Oh.
If you
But
have
still,
to
as long as
add
we
this
don't go over
Between
it, find
15 and 18,
superior.
we're good.
Yeah, we're
In
good.
one word,
So,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't count the demographics.
what would it be?
Oh, you didn't.
you don't have to.
We don't have,
Okay.
yeah, those are separate. So I think we're good.
Do we want that last one?
Yeah, I like
I
that
think
one
it's
word
a way to sum it
there.
up.
To
Yeah,
sum it
that's a
up.
good way to end
Give
it.
me one word
Give us-
when you think of Superior.
I think
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
the final question
I thought it was
would
towards
be,
the top, yeah.
If
And then
you-
Oh,
we
yeah,
also have
there.
different wording for the one we were really talking about, think of the events that Superior hosts, which are your favorite. Would you like that
I
word?
think
but we
we've
were
got that.
asking them to not, we wanted them to be able to include HOA events, all the events, 'cause
Oh, so
Superior.
a Superior hosts,
So
that's,
s-
the people are not gonna think that means anything.
Right,
Superior.
so, maybe it's a chamber event, maybe it's, 'cause that's Skate with Santa,
Think of all
really.
of the
Um,
events that take place in Superior.
and Debbie, I
Yeah.
know, is gonna list Count the Lights, because
That's
she
my
used to do
favorite
that,
one.
and it was always her favorite one.
Oh my gosh, it was on my list.
All right.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so then we do need to do two more things before I.
Okay,
So we
alright.
came up with 18 questions?
And
Any
we might
questions?
need to do the subcommittee assignments at
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that
You
was,
can
Yeah.
have
I'm
just
sorry,
one
what?
you
What
wanna-
if you
What
want
if
to
you
choose
could-
F?
you could give them what this-
yeah, we can talk about what that is and we can
And
think
then
about it.
everybody can move on, yeah. So let's do, this, and that.
Okay, so we finished the questionnaire, thank you everyone. So the next thing is additional public outreach. Happy City, conducting another on-site activity, and Dina has said that, was it Patrick that didn't
Patrick wanted us to reconsider.
reconsider adding another activity from Happy City and not worrying about the financial component of it?
Well, then bring
Wait,
them
wait,
on.
say that-
I mean,
say that
if
again?
it's not an
So-
issue,
To
I
do it or
say
not to
bring
do
them
it?
here.
To do it, so we had
He wants us
decided
to
not
do
to spend additional
that's
monies
crazy.
to have Happy City come back and do another on-site activity, and Patrick is strongly suggesting that we reconsider that and we do that, and I mean,
Well,
to your point.
more would be
you
better.
Exactly,
Well, if
I
he'll
mean, I
pay
would
for it.
prefer that they were
If
here
what?
and
If
that
he'll pay
Debbie and
for
I
it,
didn't have to
Patrick?
do training and do it ourselves.
I guess
Um,
he's saying-
Board of
Marcia,
Trustees, Board
no,
of Trustees.
Patrick is not, Patrick is a staff member.
I know,
Let's
but
not
I
be
mean,
flippant, please.
I'm
No.
not,
No, no.
So
You
if
know
we're
what I
gonna
mean, we're
vote, so
getting
I
close
mean,
to
if we
the
were
end.
to vote, if it was a no-brainer and you know, the board said, yes, we're gonna free up some money, then absolutely, I would love to
I
have them
agree.
back.
Would it be worthwhile to ask Happy City if they feel like it would be worth their time?
I think they want to come
I
here,
think they would like
yes.
to, I think.
I'll read you what he said when
felt
I
like-
suggested that
Okay.
Patrick asked me to talk
Mm.
to you guys about it. Let me just find it real fast here.
While you're finding that, you know, what is the additional public outreach?
Okay.
Like Bill Jenks.
Right, so we still need to determine who
Yes.
the small groups are and the one-on-one. And then I had mentioned it to Dina, and we both were sort of having the same idea at the same time. Is it possible that we could be given a list of questions and host smaller groups or coffees? So I was thinking
I love
specifically
that
about
idea.
the teachers at the
Mhm.
school. And I know for a fact that they have expressed on Facebook that they would like to be involved in some of the arts and things like that. And so
Mhm.
why not go and get with a list of questions,
Right.
input from them, because then they might be able to support and help us with projects that we're
Mhm.
interested in doing in town.
Yes,
So,
I think
love
our
that
time
idea.
is best served reaching out to people we know, and hopefully we can
With the
have
list of
Happy
questions
City
you're
come
giving
and
us.
do the bigger public events.
Yeah.
okay, but then the idea would be that, you know, they would give us the
Still need
questions
questions.
and we
So
might
we
have a
all
little bit
have
of
kind of a
training.
little bit of a benchmark.
So
Like
like you
my
could do your
neighborhood
book
would,
group or your
exactly, my
neighborhood.
neighborhood would love to be
You
able
might
to
have
say.
an area of Sagamore, which would
Oh,
be really
definitely.
great, that
Mhm.
would be interested. So, you know, you would host a coffee or a reception and ask questions, and then that information we could assimilate into something that we could then give to Happy City.
I love it,
I love it too.
I want
Okay.
that,
And then the other is just the one-on-one in small groups, and the two, I just have, you know, my two, people, and I think, you've thought the same, is Bill Jenks and Sharon from the library,
Mm-hmm.
Nemetschek. And then the possibility of, so historic has not been touched on, it's possible that, Mitchell could do, similar, you know, a call-in interview to the historic commission while they're having the meeting. And then that would hit that. I think all the people on his list, with the exception of Phyllis, are on the historic commission, so that would hit that point.
I like it.
Does anybody else have any other person for a one-on-one specifically within that stakeholder list? that
The only
you
one I
want?
thought was, Jim Payne, president of the HOA of Rock Creek.
And that could be one of the coffees, he might be a good,
Okay.
coffee person.
Cause you're still
Maybe.
Rock Creek. Okay.
But and maybe it is like reach out to the HOAs of the summit, the,
Mm-hmm.
Rock
Which
Creek
we're
and-
doing, we actually decided to send the invitations to all of the HOAs, right? So we are reaching out to, we're
Oh, did you
making
send it to
contact
us?
with them.
Yeah, I was told that the summit is actually part of the Rock Creek HOA. I didn't know that since I rent. so.
Yeah, they are only in that, Rock Creek HOA controls the trash for the Summit, the Summit has their own separate board too.
Okay,
And they have their own governing and separate governing rules, so like if you guys wanted to change your paint colors,
oh
the
no,
Rock Creek HOA has no say on that, it's only really primarily the trash.
okay,
Did you send it to us?
I didn't, cause I didn't
Okay.
even put that on my list.
Cause we had our progressive dinner and they're like, oh, I would love to come and give, that's what you have when you have a fair amount of retired people.
Easier to use.
Hey, how many
Sure,
responses?
let's do
What?
that.
How many
Do you have
responses?
an
I guess we'll
HOA?
talk about it.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did he say? Yeah.
Oh, so, let's see, he said, it was just open, where'd it go? Okay, he said Cherry could come for the line dance September 21st. The cost would be $9,000. And potentially less for this activity if we are still prepping for Chili Fest and doing a training for you all. I can give you a firm number once we learn what you want to do.
What would she be doing at the line dance?
Same thing she did at, I'm assuming, the main event, right? We'll
Right.
have the big,
Have a booth.
the big,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you
have a booth
know,
and-
all the stuff that she did,
Yeah.
the big chalkboard.
So they're planning on,
Yeah, and I suggested the
Creating that-
line dance because that's the only other event there is.
right, so they're gonna create that display, which you and I will do at Chili Fest, right? Is that what they're saying? And then she would come back at the line dancing
Yeah,
and
and-
use those materials?
Yeah, and maybe it's even doing something else, cause I don't see why they would charge $9,000 if they're just doing what they already did.
Right, cause they're not recreating something, they've
Yeah.
already created the chalkboard and the
Yeah.
huge map that we, you know, that
Yeah.
we posted all the stuff on.
So that could be a question that I ask him, like, what is the 9,000
What does it-
include?
what does it
Because-
cover?
Yeah, what is it?
If we're so, but more importantly, are
importantly,
we interested in having them come back and do more public
They already are
engagement?
for sure coming to Chili Fest?
No,
They're
they're not, sorry, you were not here at the last meeting, so,
Oh.
Chili Fest is, they're gonna supply materials and we're,
Melinda's
yes.
doing it.
Oh, yay.
No.
And we
Just
assumed
decided
that
on
you
it.
would be at your booth, so
Probably
that
will.
you're pretty much usually
Either
not,
that or trying to keep hold of the little kitties.
yeah. We assumed that you were not available, to
So
have
I
Chili
would say
Fest.
100%, I would like to see
Yes,
them
I
back
think
at
that's a great idea.
Wildflower.
And
Yeah,
Mitchell had a phrase that I really liked, something about the more people that were brought in, interviewed, the more feedback, the more it validated the master plan. Was it validated, he used
Yeah, I
something
think
to
so.
that effect, which I think is really important,
now,
so.
being here for the line dancing, is that in addition to another workshop evening, or not workshop, a dialogue evening, is that the plan? or no?
I think, that would be something else.
No, so they're
Yeah,
not
no,
planning on any
yeah.
more
Right,
events like that, okay.
So him coming to the line dance,
unless
or
you
I
want
mean,
him to, that is an option.
Oh, that's the question.
him or his assistant coming to the line dancing is gonna cost $9,000?
Right,
I
That
thought,
seemed high,
when,
right?
yeah, the last meeting, I think what did he quote us at the last meeting?
that was if two
2,500.
of them came, it would be.
And it was 10 to
it was-
14,000.
yeah,
10 to
For the both of
14,000.
them to come.
And we
What if we
decided
just-
against that because we didn't wanna spend the money that way. Do we have some assurance that the money is gonna be available, that $9,000?
No, we
We're
don't,
not
we
gonna
would,
overspend
No,
our
you have to
budget?
request
we,
it still.
we would have to
If
request.
we, you know, as a group have experience running this booth at Chili Fest, why can't we just run it again if we have all the materials and supplies? at
Well,
the
so
line?
this is what he, in addition to, him telling us if they could come for another event or not, I told him about the idea to do coffees or the receptions and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. And he wanted to let you know what he thinks about that. And he said, I like the idea, but also have concerns. Strengths, great way to get in-depth with residents, and opportune time for CAPS to get in touch with influential folks. Concerns are, it's a complex approach to communicate project development, requires very close coordination in preparing the event. Close coordination does not eliminate the risk that the message goes off target. Next, hard to capture all of the communication and input gathered during these activities. And then last, the risk at
We
the
can tear it there.
in-person outreach remains limited to a select group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, suppose it rains again.
So anyway, that was his thoughts, his
$9,000.
strengths and
I
concerns
think
about it.
these are, we're thinking about hosting these things like in our home or meeting at Panera or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the
I think we
coffee.
could
You know who might have a good perspective on it would be Laura Skojinski. Because she does a lot, she goes to all the first Friday coffees, and she did a ton, and still does a ton of those small group kinds of things. Well, and that's her job at Pricewaterhouse. She might have some thoughts on a way that we could structure it to be effective.
Oh, you mean the coffees?
Small coffees.
Okay, well, that we can talk about
Yeah,
that a
we
little
can
bit
do
more.
that
What we
later.
need to figure out is whether or not we would like them to come back to do more community
I think
engagement.
we should know what they're gonna do.
It would be nice to know what the 9,000 covers and what
Right.
the plan is
If
and
there's
what
something
their,
new or if it is just.
what,
If they're
Right.
just standing at the booth.
So pretty much your deadline would be your August 26th meeting with, the trustees to give them an update and
and then ask
request
for
for additional.
requests.
Oh, at that meeting,
Yeah.
request that we would like to have Happy City come back at line dancing because of
Yeah,
this, and this is
Right.
what they're offering.
Could you, could
And we
you
could have
then
the
get
info
more
for sure.
information
Yeah. Okay.
on
yes.
what they would plan on doing and
Mhm.
what kind of information they think they would
Yeah.
get
And you
out
can't
of it.
underestimate the point of the validation, right?
I
Because
think that's
it's
so
just
important.
volunteers, you know, interpreting what we think they would say, even if we're doing the best job we can.
But I
We
do
might be
think the
putting
more
words
people that we
in their
touch, the
heads.
better it is.
Yes,
Do you
totally.
think it'll be more authoritative if Jerry or Mitchell are actually there versus one of us?
I think so.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is their
yeah.
job,
Cause
but
I don't wanna put words in people's heads, right? Like you said, leading them, so.
Right, and you guys have to be really unbiased.
Yes.
And you have to really listen and not lead the people to the answers.
Right.
That's what's so complicated.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with that consideration, how do we as a committee, creating this master plan, touch as many people as we can? You know, it might be Jim Payne at the HOA, it might be my neighborhood HOA president. How do we touch a lot of people and not bias them? Maybe there's a different way to do them.
Make sure they
A
take
video
the
or something
survey.
of them or, yeah.
Well, and that's what Mitchell can help us with, so, you know, he can give us advice and training on how to do that.
Okay,
And that's what he was suggesting to do for Chili Fest.
how to touch
So it
as
could
many
all be the
people
same
in
training.
Superior.
Yeah.
And
he said
remember,
something
these
about-
people
yeah.
were invited to, some of them, in many cases, were invited to the talk. I mean, the
Mhm.
whole town was invited and 20 people showed up.
Mhm.
Right.
So, you know, we can only touch them, we can't drag them
Right.
to, you know, force information out of them.
But again,
But,
and it was, at least personally, it was somewhat frustrating that it was only 20 outside residents at that second event. Now, was that because, again, when I asked the question about grabbing people and engaging them, that a lot of people were going, oh, when I saw the flyer, they were like, oh, I have no idea what this is, and
So they might be more willing to like come to your home, people that you know, and because it might have been intimidating, like, I'm not really sure what this is, I've never been to the Bell Flatirons, you know what I mean? There might be those barriers, but if you say, invite your friends, each of us might be able to reach out to 10
or
15
just
more
say,
people.
you know, meet at Panera at 9 o'clock or
Yeah.
something.
Well, he
Your
did
work with
say
people's
it's more
schedules,
successful if he goes to their event versus inviting people to
I would,
our event.
that makes
Yeah.
total
So
sense.
that's why
Yeah.
he said is the workshops aren't as successful, but that's why he liked the main events because people were already out.
Already there.
Sure.
And that's
That
why the
makes
Chili
total
Fest
sense.
would be great, people are already out, and then
Yeah,
the wild
I think that
card
will
part.
be a successful thing.
Yeah, so if they were there, you know,
and
we
I
could
would
do
say
our
the
job.
workshop itself was very successful.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
The
yes,
talk
yes.
Oh,
was less so
absolutely.
in that we just didn't have
Well, yeah,
participation, but
Well, I
anyway.
think the people who will attend the line dancing are going to be more residents than at Chili Fest, you've got a lot of non-residents who come. And so the data that he could acquire either at Chili Fest or the line dancing might
Be different.
be skewed and different.
And
Right,
people
which is
tend
why
not
I'm-
to stop at Chili Fest, to be perfectly honest. They're kind of,
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
kind of on a mission.
I mean, having, you know,
Yeah.
meeting a booth person there, I tell you, you gotta be standing out in the crowd.
Right.
You can't just sit behind your table, you
I know, doesn't that drive you nuts?
Nobody's
And
gonna
that's
come
true
up.
in Wildflower, you know, we
Yeah.
have very few events, so I think they're gonna stand out.
Mhm.
And if we do decide to do this, then we're gonna have to really actively market, the line dance.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
You know, and make sure that we really draw a crowd, okay.
So is that where the communication person comes in?
What communication?
The new
This-
one they just
the magic-
hired!
The
That's
mystical,
Kevin.
magical.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Magical
Colon.
Magical Dina.
It's the
Oh, he's,
communications
oh,
manager.
was that what they were saying? Somebody said, oh, are we
Mhm.
going to announce his new position?
Yeah.
And they didn't, so I'm like, ooh, I
Yeah,
wonder what
it's just
Kevin,
been 2 months maybe,
okay,
yeah.
so Kevin Cologne is doing the
So-
communications,
Yeah.
alright.
Is, so
Yeah.
officials giving this training
Sorry, I
on,
thought you-
on how to
No.
run the booths and everything? Is that something that you can do by Skype, or do we think he needs to be here in order to give that training?
No, he wouldn't be here,
Okay.
yeah.
For the training,
Mhm.
okay. So I just think if we've learned how to effectively run the booth during Chili Fest, then I don't see why we can't do it at Wildflower.
Although,
Versus having them come and
Right.
do something.
Right.
I don't know, I still
I-
think that they're so good at what they do.
Let's find out what their plan is
Yeah.
before we make a
Okay.
determination. We do not have to, we don't have to figure it out tonight.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, let's,
Almost done.
Subcommittee assignments, what is that?
well, that, we
That
need
would
to
be
do it
fun.
another time, so these are,
No, we don't, I have to get going, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can't
okay.
finish that. But,
And I
one
gotta
thought
wait.
was that Daryl can explain to you what those are, so you guys can think about it for
Okay.
the next meeting.
Okay,
So, the, cleaner is here, so you guys should be able to leave without
just walk
worrying
out
about
the
it,
door
yeah.
and, okay.
But I wouldn't stay too much longer, you know,
Yeah,
you probably don't
I have
have
to
too much
finish
longer to
packing.
go,
I
but
have to go,
like, don't
so-
stay another hour, I'd say.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
gonna say we're not gonna talk about the subcommittee assignments, I can tell you that.
I'm good with that,
email.
let's skip it.
Let's move on to the roundabout,
I'm worried about the 15th and Chili
the
Fest.
update on, the 15th, and Melinda has been working her tush off, getting a tent and some catering, and I've sent out an invitation, which all, we decided not to do the e-bite, because what happened for the e-bite is, you got it first, this is why I tested it, so you said, yes, I'm coming, and then nobody else could actually respond.
Really?
Because-
or
because
Ms.
it's-
Caps.
Because it's the caps at superiorcolorado.gov email.
Oh, so nobody else at CAPS could respond?
Well,
Or nobody at all?
Nobody else, nobody.
It was weird.
It was weird, and so I was afraid that we were gonna end up with nobody being able to respond back,
Oh,
because
no.
all we had our town board at Superior, you know, the
Oh,
only
you
way
have
to get.
individual emails.
Right, and so I just created, an email and sent it out as an email. And people
Okay.
have been.
And how many
responding.
responses have you?
Gina, do you care about these at all?
Oh, that's our decision.
No, just, yeah,
Okay.
let me know what
It's
you
our
want.
decision.
Thank you. Bye, guys, I'll see you next